Chapter 51 Good morning, fellow examinees. In the silence, a steady voice suddenly came from the entrance. The still sleeping candidates were jolted awake. Everyone turned to see a burly man wearing sunglasses, with white hair and carrying a huge pipe, standing there. It was hard to guess his age, but he looked at least 35. Let me introduce myself. I'm the examiner for this first test. My name is Morel. He gripped the pipe's handle and offered a calm smile. I'll tell you up front, the hunter exam is not a game. If you're not strong enough or luck runs out, you might die. Still wish to continue? If you want to quit, now's your chance. No one responded. Understandable, they'd all fought to get here. No one was about to give up at the last moment. I glanced at Keto standing beside him. He looked unfazed as ever. All right. Then I declare registration closed. All 823 candidates are here, and the first exam is about to begin. Morel smiled slightly, lifted his massive pipe, took a puff, and exhaled white and purple smoke that condensed into a cute rabbit-shaped puff. It hopped off into the forest. Truth is, we hadn't expected so many registrants this year. The examiner behind me told me to slim the group down. So here's the rule, only 185 of you will pass this first test. Murmurs roiled the crowd, someone even called out to clarify. Simple, Morel continued. That smoke rabbit? I used special techniques to mimic it. There are 185 of these smoke figures hidden in the forest. Your mission, find and defeat them before sunset tomorrow, snatch their number plates, and return with those plates. Use any weapon or method, feel free to steal plates even from other candidates. Any questions? Special technique. But that aura around the rabbit was so strong. Wasn't it an Nen technique? I grimaced. What a weak excuse. And that man just smokes a massive pipe, does he even have lungs left? So how do we know which one is a smoke man? Someone asked. Figure it out yourselves. I'm not telling, Morel replied, mild impatience in his tone. What if we kill a smoke man or kill other candidates fighting over plates? No worries. You won't face legal consequences for murder in this first stage. Understood. Anyone else? Silence. Morel cleared his throat. Then I officially opened the first test of the hunter exam. With that, the dark crowd exploded into motion, scattering into the forest like startled animals. Shouts, collisions, pure chaos. I watched Morel again. He found shade under a tree, using his pipe as a pillow, already dozing. I muttered, these people are desperate. They're racing, only the first 185 to return count, Keto replied wryly. We chatted as we slipped into the trees. What comes after this first exam? Second? Third? Yes. Usually there are 4 or 5 rounds total. But 185 from over 800? That's harsh. Past years passed nobody. This exam is brutal. Plus, you can grab multiple plates, reducing competition. Some smoke men won't be found, some candidates might die. Realistically, only about 2/3 of the smoke men are claimed. 2/3. So about 123 pass? Right. We walked, Keto explaining that all examiners were professional hunters and the tasks varied on a whim. I wandered for hours, finding squirrels, hares, a deer, and strange creatures. A furry critter climbed onto my shoulder to eat nuts. When I scratched its head, it stayed. Now and then it brushed against me. Animals here are friendly, I said. They sense qualified hunters. Oh? The critter hopped off suddenly, nut in mouth. This search is inefficient. The forest's huge. We should split up, though I worry about regrouping. I left a tracking device at the start, Keto said. Better coverage alone. Want one too? We can exchange phone numbers, I'll direct you if you get lost. Tracking device? I paused. You came prepared. We agreed. Quito placed a small black square in my backpack. It was waterproof and reliable. We swapped numbers, parted ways. He mentioned working with Illumi before, so I trusted him. I'd remain alert if someone approached. After he vanished, I climbed a treetop, focused my Nen-infused telepathy to sharpen my awareness. Human movement within 15 meters, murderous intent, breath, rustle, all became perceptible. As I moved among trees, I peeked whenever I sensed life. 3 candidates passed unseen. Then I spotted a fourth, a girl. I intended to slip past, but she looked up, locking me with a cold stare. The forest went still. Even stationary, I trembled under her gaze. I turned to leave. Immediately, flying knives whizzed past, nicking my face and embedding in a nearby tree. I dove aside and leapt to another tree. Hey, don't just attack without saying anything, I shouted. She looked up without expression. You're here to steal my plate. What? She already got a plate. I stammered, it's not like that, I'm just searching for smoke men. How would I know you had one? She calmly brushed her hair. If that's so, toss the knife back. Don't waste good steel, recycle it. What? Hey, I'm a target too. Someone throws knives at me and you still want them back. If you help me retrieve it, I won't attack. Her tone was flat. Not wanting more trouble, I gave in. Chapter 52 I obediently picked up the 3 throwing knives. Once I confirmed she wouldn't keep attacking, I jumped down and handed them back. They were delicate, engraved with patterns and inlaid with colored gems. As she took them, she lifted her skirt slightly, revealing fair, slender thighs. Wow, what are you doing? Even if you give me my knives back, you don't have to, I blurted, flushing as I covered my eyes. We're both girls, but I was caught off guard. A soft nasal breath reached my ear. Peeking through my fingers, I realized her skirt only rose enough to expose thigh holsters, nothing risque. Calmly, she relocated the knives. Underneath her knee-length skirt, 2 black thigh holsters held dozens of knives, everything from small dart blades to a 30-centimeter dagger resting just above her knee. I tried to mask my embarrassment and managed a thumbs up. So cool. What? She asked, confused as she stashed the throwing knife. Your weapons, they look straight out of a special ops unit or a martial arts novel. I see. She lowered her skirt and patted it. Only then did I fully take in her appearance, a cold expression, half-lidded eyes, long black hair cascading over her shoulders. Dressed in a black and white outfit with a nun-like style and a silver-white cross pendant, she had an austere aura, like a pristine deity stepping out of stained glass. An ice-cold beauty. I stared, entranced, until she waved me back to attention. Are you daydreaming? She asked. Oh, no, I snapped back, peering at her. Before I could finish, I sensed breath behind me. It moved close, then instantly swerved away, deliberately avoiding us. I tensed, ready to react. A whistle of wind and the girl vanished, leaving nothing but grass and trees swaying gently. So fast. I spun around and gave chase, but she was gone, even her breath had disappeared. I sprinted through the undergrowth, leapt over roots and shrubs. Leaves scratched me, I ignored them. Finally, I spotted her near a clearing. She'd reformed from a cloud of smoke and tucked a small blue plate into her pocket, the number plate Morel mentioned. I panted, brushed off leaves, and watched her smooth her skirt again before removing the plate. Despite knowing my Nen-enhanced telepathy was strong, she'd outpaced me. From reforming to plate retrieval, under 10 seconds. She's strong. She examined the plate briefly, then walked over and offered it to me. Got an extra, want it? Free? No reward without merit. I'd rather not. I wiped my forehead, feeling guilty. No problem. I already have one. If I hadn't used this card, it'd be yours. She pressed the plate into my hand. I stared at the plate, about to protest when she glared at me. Don't follow me. With that, she walked off without looking back. Birds circled overhead, forest sounds echoed around me. I gripped the plate and my bag strap, watching her retreating silhouette. Are all beauties so unpredictable? It took me a while to process the situation. She forced a plate on me. I accepted it gratefully and tucked it away. But I still felt uneasy. Was it genuine or a forged distraction? I decided to capture another smoke man for confirmation. Wandering the woods, the soft ground felt like walking on a plush quilt. Soon I sensed another smoke man. It turned and fled. I gathered small stones, wrapped them with nen, and hurled them, but it darted around skillfully, thudding stones into nearby trees. It was hard to catch. Frustrated by multiple failed attempts, I sprinted full tilt. But each time I gained ground, it sped up too, keeping distance. Running fast meant less nimble turns and reduced awareness, my disadvantage. I was furious, yet impressed. Catching one of these was a pipe dream for most. Maybe only a Lumi or Hisoka could do this easily. If this is the baseline, passing is near impossible. Even 23 might fail, let alone 123. That girl truly is exceptional. Chasing with a frown, I realized I needed strategy. So I slowed. The smoke man also decelerated. I pulled lollipops from my bag, like a Lumi with needles, threw one to bounce off a trunk at just the right angle, hurting it right. Then I switched to Zave state, held my breath, and burst left around the tree. I used the tree to spring off, smashing through branches, timing it perfectly. Leaping past its trunk, I collided with the smoke man. Rolling on the ground to cushion the fall, I drew my knife and cleaved the smoke man in two. Because I'd masked my presence, it never dodged. Smoke cleared in front of me, and I heard a click, another plate hitting the ground. I got up and picked it up, sighing in relief. I haven't sprinted this hard in ages. Back at a tree's shade, I retrieved the lollipop, unwrapped and ate it. Can't waste it after one use, gotta recycle. Sitting down, I pulled out the two plates to compare. The one from the girl was 139, the one I'd just taken was 7. They matched in quality and design, the numbers must correspond to the smoke men's identities. A mix of pride and doubt washed over me. Was my strength really this weak? Why did I have to strategize so much when she did it in seconds? Chapter 53 After the frustrating chase, I no longer felt like hanging around. I sat motionless in a tree, dazed. Occasionally, candidates passed below, oblivious to my presence. I tossed leaves down, and they simply thought it was the wind. After wallowing in melancholy, I climbed down, determined to explore and lift my spirits. Thus began my pleasant fruit-picking journey. My backpack was nearly empty, perfect for carrying fruit after I surrendered my winter clothes aboard the airship. Since I couldn't tell which fruits were safe, I picked a few of each kind and planned to meet Keto later for identification. The forest grew denser as I ventured deeper. Fewer candidates crossed my path. The terrain became hilly, vegetation larger and more diverse. Caves appeared, and wildlife grew more frequent. The path became rugged, but the spoil was richer. We gathered a hefty bag of unfamiliar fruits and found a stream, clear, cool, moderate in flow, broken by dark rocks. I cupped water in my hands and drank a few hesitant sips, like TV survival experts do. The water tasted odd, cold, slightly sweet and fishy. Then my stomach trembled. I stopped, thinking, home tap water would feel strange untreated. After wiping my mouth and hands, I turned to resume exploring. A white flicker in the distance caught my eye. A smoke man. Another one? Despite hesitation, I gave chase. As I neared, I struck from behind, expecting it to dodge like the last, but this time I landed the hit. With an explosion of smoke, a number plate dropped, 85. Question marks swirled in my mind. What's going on? Why is there such a strength gap? Are there tiers of smoke men? Was the girl's success only because she caught a low-level one? But they all looked identical. Maybe the attack trigger matters, like proximity or menus? Confusion deepened, yet I pocketed the plate and pressed onward. In the next 3 hours, I caught 2 more, numbers 24 and 50, both dispatched with a single strike. Their plates matched design but gave no further clues. Still clueless. By noon, my backpack rattled with plates, but no answers. I hadn't eaten, just bored and hungry. No threats, no interruptions. I lost my sense of urgency. Sitting under a tree, gazing skyward, my thoughts drifted to Kurapika. Maybe I should call him? I rummaged through fruit in my bag for my phone. Suddenly, a shadow loomed. Heavy breath sprayed over me, wind flicked my bangs. I looked up, a brown and yellow beast with bared fangs, one paw raised, feral and fierce. A lion? We locked eyes. Seconds ticked. Could this guy kill me? Ah! It roared, saliva and raw meat scent in the air. I flinched, slapped my face, and without thinking, slapped it right back. It flew back, landing dazed. Regaining its footing, it eyed me warily, growling. Fur bristled, clearly upset. I rubbed my wrist and beckoned, playful. Today's my lucky day. I'd always loved big cats, tigers, cheetahs, lions. Dreamed of riding one someday. Now the moment was here. I rubbed my hands, ready to tame it. It crouched, then lunged. I dodged and slapped its rear. This time I pissed it off. It charged repeatedly. I dodged and patted again, trying to earn its trust. We tussled for over 4 hours, the lion chasing and biting me relentlessly. We ran down the mountain until dusk. I slowed the pace, worried we'd stray too far from Quito. By sunset, it collapsed on a flower-dotted grassy patch, exhausted, its leaps sluggish. It glared at me with deep resentment, then stood to leave, abandoned prey. Hey, don't go. You've had fun, I haven't yet. I called out. It circled me, ignoring my plea. As it passed, I swear I heard a sigh. I grabbed its tail, it didn't resist, sitting down and glaring, as if to say, what now? I stepped ahead, stroked its head. Good cat. Want to be my mount after this exam? It visibly recoiled. Then, astonishingly, it shook its head firmly. It understands human? Fascinated, I withdrew. I picked a large rock and casually shattered it with Nen. The lion's eyes nearly popped. It bolted again. Hey, no running. I chased it down, still grabbing its tail. It turned to me, head drooped, like it'd cry. Then it meowed, a deep roar with cat-like syllables. Cute and absurdly discordant. You acting adorable now? I arched an eyebrow and stroked its chin. Don't worry, I'm easygoing. After the exam, you're free. I can help you hunt whatever you like. It sighed again, bowing its head, a silent agreement. I joyfully climbed onto its back. Its fur was smooth on the head, coarser and dustier on the back, like Beauty and the Beast vibes. Chapter 54 – I had always wanted a big cat, and though I couldn't in my old world, I could here. Besides novelty, I was excited, but I couldn't overdo it with Blaze, that clever lion. Sitting astride Blaze's broad back, I stroked my chin. Let me give you a name. Blaze only stayed still, muscles tensing at the sound. How about Blaze? You're big and yellow. Blaze stiffened. Well, unless you object, it's settled. I patted his back. First priorities, a bath. You're filthy, and I won't like you if you stink. Blaze looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Do you lions not bathe?" I asked, leaning down. If he refused, I'd force him. Blaze trotted off through the woods, carrying me. It wasn't easy, no saddle, no reins, and Blaze's gait slammed me up and down. My waist and legs burned as I fought to stay seated. Still, Blaze moved swiftly and majestically. After adjusting, I coordinated with him and we reached the river again. The water was wider and shallower. Blaze eyed his reflection nervously. I nudged him in. Splash! Blaze sat in the water like a kitten, bean black eyes staring me down. I rolled up my sleeves and skirt, then knelt to wash him. I wasn't sure plain water would clean fully, but bathing a lion fascinated me. The warm climate meant we wouldn't catch colds even bathing at dusk. I circled Blaze, pulled a paw and signaled him to lie down. He lowered himself, water reaching his neck. The soaked mane floated like seaweed. I scrubbed his back. "Good cat. If you weren't yellow before, maybe you'll turn white now," I murmured, coaxing him like a child. "We're taking the hunter exam. I passed round 1 but I'm unsure about the rest." I babbled on, "I've got a kid waiting at home." "What's he doing? Is he eating? Are you listening, Blaze? Got a family?" Blaze didn't respond, but his calmness made it bearable. Bathing him took hours. By dusk, I was soaked too. Suddenly, a voice, "Keto. Sheng, you're back?" "Bathing Blaze," I replied, wiping sweat. "Blaze?" Keto laughed. "Cute name." He waded in to help. Soon Blaze's fur was visibly cleaner. He even caught a small fish. Keto helped finish scrubbing. We climbed out, drenched but satisfied. Keto dashed off to prepare a fire. Blaze shook off water in a furious spray. I hid behind a tree until he stopped. I dried my hair and followed Keto, spotting a campfire and the aroma of roasting meat. "Sheng, you must be starving," Keto said, offering roasted wild boar. I caught it. "No seasoning, hope that's fine?" "Perfect," I agreed. Blaze drooled but stayed patient. Keto assured me there were more pieces for Blaze. "Don't worry, he gets his share." Dinner was surprisingly tasty, even unsalted. Keto noticed my clothes were damp and gave me his coat. I showed him my fruit haul. He identified edible ones to finish the meal. We sat around the fire. I cuddled against Blaze, enjoying his warmth. We exchanged daily updates. Keto caught numbers 19 and 158, learned I had 5 plates. He offered to give me his if I needed but was impressed by my haul of 5. Embarrassed, I explained how I caught them and shared my theory about smoke man tears. Keto nodded, then shared his insight. Among our 7 captured smoke men, the high-level ones were 7 and 19, and the low-level were 24, 50, 85, 139, 158. He proposed smoke men are tiered by number, 1 to 20 high, 21 to 185 low, meaning 20 was the cutoff. "That makes sense," I exclaimed. He elaborated, "Since 19 and 7 were equally tough and same tactics worked, it likely isn't attack type but serial threshold. Humans like round numbers, so 20 is logical. In other words, plates 1 to 20 are high level, 21 to 185 are low level." I nodded, awed by his logic. Even if theory doesn't help us now, Keto's analysis was brilliant and satisfying. Chapter 55-. Not only is the lion the same color, but also as clever as the child at home, a thought that struck me after Keto's analysis. Coincidentally, my phone rang. My bag was empty now, so I pulled it out. The screen showed Illumi's landline and a call from Kurapika. I answered quickly. "Kurapika?" I ventured. "Why didn't you call me to check in so late? We agreed to call daily to confirm each other's safety." Hearing his voice, I burst out laughing. "Sorry, I was busy today and meant to call, I teased. He rattled off questions, the exam, injuries, food, location. It overwhelmed my brain. I finally said, "Why are you asking so much?" Ahem. His tone became stiff. I'm just worried. I'm far away and can't watch you. Don't overthink it, just concern. I'm not overthinking. Unless you care as a younger brother? I joked, stepping on a landmine. I told you I'm not your brother, he snapped. I chuckled. Is this your boyfriend? Keto suddenly interrupted. I froze, then explained in a hurry, no. I don't have a boyfriend. That's my family, not that. Hey, a family's good. You seem happy. Right. Oh, sorry, forgot, I paused, thinking of Demi's warning that most kids on Meteor Street have no family. It's okay, Keto said. You didn't do anything wrong. But Olsen, I mean, Kurapika, might worry if you focus too much on him. Oh right, I snapped back to the phone. Kurapika? Are you still there? Where were we? Silence, then his voice low, who's that? The person talking with you? Huh? Who's with you? They're new friends at the exam. I replied weakly, knowing Kurapika was cautious, and right to be. Do you trust people that easily? They're friends of Illumi. Same exam, helping each other. My voice trembled, guilt flaring. His voice softened after a sigh, just don't let your guard down, okay? Remember the assassination attempt? I don't want that again. For me, be more cautious. Relief flooded me, and I promised, I'm on alert, I won't let anything within 5 meters. Of course, that was a boast, Blaze was beside me. I scratched his damp fur. Did you eat well? Kurapika continued. A bit rough during the day, but I had a big dinner tonight. Don't worry. How about you, home life okay? Nothing fancy. I keep going, but feel empty without you. Don't be sad. I'll be home in 2 days, I murmured. He paused. Forgot, where are you staying tonight? Outdoors. Mid-exam, just fire and rest. Isn't that dangerous? Wild beasts. Candidate attacks? Are you okay? This forest's safe. Few insects and tame wildlife. I sleep lightly, can sense danger. I tried reassurance. But still, don't let your guard drop around anyone, even friends. Kurapika warned, voice low again. I sensed he was worried about Keto and me. I told him about today's events, including Blaze. Kurapika cautioned, they say raising tigers invites trouble. But with your strength, you tamed it. Still, wild beasts are unpredictable. Be careful. Blaze is well behaved. I'll bring you to see him later. I smiled. You're hopeless, he sighed, like a parent. Despite his mature voice, Kurapika carried the weight of his tragic past, forced maturity and caution. His strength wasn't just ambition, it was self-preservation. We chatted until late, then said good night. Hanging up, I saw Keto playing nearby. Wrapped up? He asked. Why yes. I scratched my head, embarrassed. The first exam ends tomorrow. Before he finished, I hissed, wait. Someone burst from the bushes with a gun aimed at Keto. Don't move. The man yelled. Blaze snarled at him, teeth bared. I want your number plate. I saw you took a smoke, man, now hand it over. Okay, I soothed Blaze. The man blinked. If you want it. I have plenty. Just one, and you won't cause trouble, right? Sure. Hurry. He quivered. I shrugged, pulled plate 50 from my bag, and tossed it to him. It hit his feet. He picked it up and demanded proof of authenticity. I crossed my arms and yawned, don't be greedy. But I suggest you don't shoot, it won't hit me, but Blaze behind me will. he shook, pointing the gun. I calmly picked a stone, aimed, and flung it. It struck the barrel. The bullet discharged, the gun bent, useless. I told you, no shot. I smiled. Panicked, he dropped the gun and fled. Keto looked on, intrigued. You really are an end user, he said. I flinched. You. I frowned. Keto quickly backtracked. No harm meant. I heard Illumi say you're an end user but not your power. I'm curious. Ah, I sighed with relief. Are you a Nen user too? Yes, he said calmly. But I won't show you my ability. Ha. That's good. Secrets help you live longer. His eyes glowed in firelight. I rested my chin in hand, pondering. His calm smile in that moment was unsettling. Short break hunters. And I don't have a fact for you this time. 'Cause I'm running out of the. So. Stare at a wall for 5 seconds. And let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now back into the fanfic. Chapter 56. I slept again in the forest in a daze. The next morning, I washed at the river and ate some leftover meat. Then I spent the day with Keto. Along the way, 2 more candidates approached to take number plates, 85 and 139, so I handed them over. Now Keto and I each hold 2 plates, I intend to keep 2 more just in case. Riding a lion feels amazing. With nothing pressing today, Keto and I leisurely killed time. Blaze's stride made sitting easy. I thought that with wild clothes, I'd pass as a primitive hunter. But all I have are JK uniforms, even my skirt was wrinkled by the ride. I should change my style when I get back. At dusk, we returned to the meeting point. Examiner Morel lounged in a recliner with a parasol, sipping watermelon juice, clearly here on vacation, not duty. A crowd had gathered. Keto said not everyone had plates, but they returned hoping to luck out. Soon Morel stood, announced the end of the first exam, and began counting. Chaos erupted, plates thrown, scuffles, yet he ignored it all, even knocking down a few troublemakers with his pipe. He verified candidates and released the qualified to the Hunter Association airship. Keto told me the airship bearing the XX is the exclusive Hunter Association craft. I hesitated over letting Blaze go. I doubted I could care for him in later exams. After stroking his neck, I released him. I expected him to bolt, but instead, he approached, rubbed against me, and I hugged him, promising to return if I could. Blaze nodded, watched me board the airship, then ran back to the forest. Only 57 candidates passed, far fewer than expected. From over 800, less than 1/3 remained. I sighed at the attrition. The Hunter exam is brutal, Keto said as we sat by the window. We enjoyed a gourmet dinner with desserts. Afterwards, I showered, washed and ironed clothes, then hung them to dry. Morel warned, harming candidates in downtime disqualifies you. Finally, we relaxed. That soft bed and warm room lulled me to deep sleep. I woke to find Keto, and we joined breakfast, the airship nearing the venue for exam 2 at noon. During breakfast, I called Kurapika, explaining I'd left Blaze behind to look after him post-exams. He approved, then said he's been reading, exercising, cooking, cleaning. He weren't fancy, but promised a gift for me on my return. Vague, but enticing. At noon, we landed in a blazing sun. A punk-styled woman stood waiting, Shira, wearing marten boots and burgundy ponytail. Morel disembarked beside her. Shira teased him about the slashing of candidates. Morel shrugged, following orders. Hello, candidates. I'm Shira, your second exam examiner. Details soon. Now follow me, she announced. We followed her past a building to a large yard filled with racing cars. Second test, a race. Reach the finish within 3 days to pass. Shira clapped. You'll draw lots to form teams of 2. Last exam had 57, 1 dropped out, so even teams. Cars come stocked, food, water, fuel, med kits. You'll also get positioning devices showing finish coordinates. Enjoy the race. Beans, the bean-face man, emerged with a box. I'll call your numbers. Winners pair up and collect cars and gear from Shira. He drew 2 numbers per turn. Distance, over 600 km. At 120 mph, 5 hours, practical time 8 to 9. But deadline, 3 days. This is more than just speed. He called, number 666 and number 478, collect your car. I looked at Keto, who smiled. Guess we can't go together next round, Amber, good luck. You too. See you in round 3, I replied. He paired with a burly guy who grabbed the driver's seat. Next, number 665 and number 145, ready? My number, 145. Looking up, I found Lyra, the cold girl who gave me my plate before. It's us, I said, startled. Coincidence. She replied and walked past to Shira. I followed. Our car parked near Keto's. He sat in the passenger seat, helmet on, smiling. Our convertible looked expensive, carbon fiber frame, slick design. Lyra and I stood hushed. I asked, can you drive? No, she said flatly. Help. 11-year-olds don't drive. And neither I. What do we do? I don't know how to drive, I whimpered. Keto, waiting, observed, looks different from ordinary cars. Examiner probably explains later. I hope so. I sat in passenger, helmet on, seatbelt fastened, nerve stretching tight. Lyra remained silent until she spoke. Do you like lions? Huh? Blaze? Blaze, I saw you ride one on round 1. Then that was Blaze. I love lions, actually, all cats. Oh? She was calm. I'm Lyra. What's your name? My name is Amber. I smiled brightly. Silence fell again, gloom crashed in. Finally she said, I prefer fish. Fish? Panic surged. I grasped her arm, voice hoarse, fish? You mean, the fish from Meteor Street? She looked at me impassively, and I bit my tongue. So absurd, how I jumped to that. She watched me deflate. Why fish? They don't close their eyes when sleeping, she said. Always alert. Useful in where I grew up, being alert mattered. That struck deep. Ahem. Excuse me, for asking, but are you from Meteor Street? I inquired. Yes, Lyra said, coolly. How could you tell? Just a feeling. You have that Meteor Street temperament. I forced a smile, and marveled that so many people here are from there. I wondered, if things worked out, I might visit Meteor Street someday. Chapter 57 After everyone was assigned to teams, Shira explained the positioning devices, then, just as Keto expected, introduced how to drive this car. Though I can't drive, I know a little. It's a special racing car made by the Hunter Association for this exam, with only basic controls, switches, steering wheel, accelerator, brake, cruise control, lights, and handbrake, no joystick. Feels like an arcade racer, just hit the gas. I felt uneasy. But the real thrill came next. This car can reach 700 km/h, full throttle could pass the test in just 1 hour. Shira announced. 700? Candidates gasped. That speed approaches the wind limit humans can endure. We provide helmets, but serious caution, this isn't a joke. Lyra gripped the wheel, excitement in her eyes. Are you okay? I asked. Who knows, she said evenly. Sounds fun. Don't blame me if we die. Great. Once all checks were done, Shira gave the signal and 28 cars roared out. 3 collided immediately with a bang. I instinctively ducked. The least damaged car shot ahead effortlessly. It was chaos, like the first exam. "We're up," said Lyra. Go slow? No gears, I'm worried we'll fly off," I pleaded. "I got it," she responded, and we sped out. Unlike arcade logic, a curved exit ramp awaited, possibly to prevent us from flying off. Lyra flung the wheel 180 degrees, tires screeched, and the car skidded nearly upside down, but stayed upright. My stomach churned as we straightened out. I held on, this wasn't child's play. Ahead was a smooth road ideal for fast runs. The steering felt twitchy, and our car swayed, other drivers kept their distance. The wind howled, engine roared. My clothes slapped my skin. I couldn't tell if my buttons would stay on. I glanced at the odometer, 270 miles per hour. She's fearless. We passed fields of ripening wheat, a peaceful contrast to the madness. We hit 340 miles per hour. I could feel the hum and numbness from the speed. I held down my skirt to prevent wardrobe malfunctions. "You're driving too fast," I screamed, but the wind stole my voice. I said, "You're too fast," I shouted, brought my hands to her face to echo it. "Never mind. Fine." I sank back. We kept pace at 300 miles per hour for over an hour. Passing wheat fields blurred into monotony. We nearly flipped multiple times, nearly collided. I pressed my fingers into the door, left marks, but we survived. Bug guts splattered the windshield, twice we stopped to clean. The wind hurt, but with layers it was bearable. After 2 hours, the roads changed, beige plains, grazing sheep and horses, and toy-like villages on the horizon. "It might rain ahead," Lyra murmured. I saw clouds gathering, it was time to slow. First drops hit, then heavy rain as we drove under a dark cloud. My helmet glass fogged. The forest appeared ahead, curving, steep. We slowed from 300 to 50 miles per hour. Rainwater pooled in the car as we slowed. "We're halfway," Lyra noted quietly. "So fast," I gasped. "It makes sense, 600 km at high speed." Now we crept at 20 miles per hour through roaring rain. Water washed hillsides into muddy torrents. "Landslide?" I frowned. "It's coming," she said, accelerating. My head jolted back as a hillside collapsed ahead, mud, rocks, trees crashed down. Lyra gunned the accelerator, the car fishtailed onto a rough detour. A boulder struck our car. I unbuckled, stood on the seat, and punched it off its path. Bang! Metal recoiled, helpless, but I held on to the belt. Several rocks flew in, one hit my shoulder. Pain shot through me. The side door was ruined, I tossed rocks overboard, and immediately faced a falling tree trunk. I clenched my fist and broke it in two. Then crawled back into the car seat, her heart pounding. I didn't dare to fasten the seatbelt again. After 30 harrowing minutes, the rain ended. We emerged from the storm. Chapter 58-. We were still reeling from that real landslide, slowing our pace. Once the rain stopped, the sky cleared to a pale white, and the rain forest beside the road halted as well. Lyra pulled over, removed her helmet, and let her long black hair flow free. I unbuckled my seat belt, planning to check the car, but she stopped me. "You," she whispered, hesitation in her eyes. I froze, then remembered smashing a rock and tree trunk with my bare hands for our safety. My face heated in embarrassment. You mean that? Sorry, I didn't think," I stammered. She placed a finger over my lips quietly. I thought I smelled a soft perfume, though the rain should have washed it away. Was it my imagination? Her delicate cat-like eyes blinked slowly, and raindrops, pure, translucent, danced on her cheeks. She stepped close, one hand brushing my lips, the other on the seat. Her breath was warm, my heart thudded with sudden warmth. Why am I blushing? We're both girls. How is she so perfect, so doll-like? You're talkative, she said softly, her tone calm. You must have been hurt earlier. Eh? What? Lyra tugged my right sleeve, revealing a large purplish bruise extending from shoulder to back, with scratches and faint yellow stains. I didn't even notice, I murmured, surprised. When you pour Nen into your hands, your body's energy diminishes. All Nen users know that, she said, opening the trunk for her medical kit. No need, I'll be okay. But I realized she was a Nen user. She ignored me, fetched supplies, and brushed alcohol onto my wound. It stung sharply. She worked efficiently, applying powder and neatly wrapping a bandage. She paused. Girls with scars might not get married. That actually makes sense. I trailed off. She smiled softly, kindness flickered in her eyes. You're welcome. She returned to the car. Something about her changed for me. Perhaps she's cold outside, warm inside. Her nun-style uniform clung to her damp curves, beautiful and mysterious. My curiosity deepened. We resumed driving at 120 miles per hour. I tried to make casual conversation about weather, her past, her life. I'm here because I had nothing else, she said. My life before was all fighting and killing on Meteor Street, nothing more. Do you like nun-style clothes? They suit you. I ventured. I don't, she replied. Nuns worship God. I don't. I think God is arbitrary and won't save the world. Then why wear the clothes? It's inverted from Orthodox attire, a statement of atheism, she explained. I held my tongue, faith isn't my realm to judge. Above, the sky dimmed. The roadside river shimmered silver pink, driftwood afloat, birds circling overhead. Tiny creatures on a mid-river island resembled pebbles against the sky. Soon, darkness thickened. We spotted a service area ahead, cars parked and people milling inside. We decided to stop and rest for the night. I opened the glass door, wind chimes rang. Heads turned. Amber. Keto called. He walked toward me grinning. I didn't expect to find you here. Huh? You were waiting? He explained, his car broke, no tools, so he and Wagra walked dozens of kilometers until reaching the service area. He'd hoped to see me, in hopes I'd bring him along. He teased, so, will you take both of us? Of course, I smiled, glancing at Lyra nervously. She looked at me and said calmly, I have no objections. That's great. Thank you, Amber. Keto hugged me bashfully. I blushed. Okay. But I'm wet, my clothes. Keto noticed the bandage. Are you hurt? Oh, just a rock hit, I downplayed. Let's find a place to rest. He nodded and led us to Wagra, a calm, capable middle-aged fighter who thanked us politely. 13 candidates were here, many had walked alone, maybe after accidents. Keto kindly gave me his coat, it smelled of laundry soap, a comforting gesture. I offered Lyra the coat, but she declined. We ate free fast food in the car, slept poorly, then set off early next morning, heading north into colder, damper air. Space in the back seat was tight, so Keto took the driver's seat this time. Chapter 59 Keto's driving skill outshines Lyra's, no stress sitting in the back. We left the mountains behind and the sky cleared. I even dozed off, leaning against Lyra. Before long, 2/3 of the journey passed. If nothing goes wrong, we'll reach our destination today. But of course, something unexpected was bound to happen. As I admired the scenery, a herd of cows stampeded onto the road. With no time to brake, Keto swerved and our car plunged off the road, thankfully intact. Considering Keto and Wagra's skills, it's a shock none of them crashed. Somehow, Lyra and I, who can't drive, managed over 300 km unharmed. Fields of silvery white flowers surrounded us. As we rolled through the blossoms, birds and insects scattered. I gripped the door, bracing against bumps. Lyra squeezed my hand reassuringly, her sudden tenderness always surprises me. The field dropped off steeply, and cows mooing echoed. The flowers grew patchy and a narrow dirt road appeared. Keto drove us onto it. Back on proper pavement, I checked our locator, still on track. This new cement road had no markings, pigeons pecking nearby, and smashed fruit littering the shoulders. Houses with pink roofs and white walls soon dotted the roadside. A large sign read Tomato and Strawberry Town. Where are we? Did we detour? I asked. We're on track, Keto answered. Cute name for a town. Roads lined with tomato and strawberry-themed decorations, neat fences, like stepping into a fairy tale. But not a soul was around. My thoughts halted when a strawberry-costumed figure jumped out, blocking us. Welcome to Tomato and Strawberry Town. He boomed unnaturally cheerfully, arms wide. I froze. Keto removed his helmet and smiled politely. Sorry, just passing through. Could you let us go? No, no. Strawberry waved vehemently. We produce strawberry tomato fruits, grafts, merch, anything. What would you like? We're just passing, Wagra tried to respond. But Strawberry grabbed a calculator, pressed buttons rapidly. Aha! With current discounts, total is 0. Cash or card? He leaned in, grinning. I glanced sideways at Keto. Keto, something's off, maybe we should go? Strawberry slapped the table loudly. No running away, not after ordering. Everyone, here. Suddenly, tomato-costumed figures emerged from houses, faces covered, only limbs visible. I tensed. Lyra gripped her thigh holster. Strawberry, we'll give you a luxurious set, guaranteed satisfaction. They yanked us from the car. I pulled back, but my strength was useless, my arm wouldn't budge. Lyra was grabbed too. They dragged us toward a large house. Non-toxic, harmless service, guaranteed satisfaction. The leader repeated, opening carved doors. A wave of strawberry milk scent hit me. Inside, cows grazed in flower beds, and masked girls in white robes stood at the doorway. Welcome to Tomato Strawberry Town. Please follow us to bathe and change, they said in unison. One tapped my hand gently and led me inside. Hey, who are you? I demanded, my voice edged. But when I turned, Keto and the others had vanished without a trace. Chapter 60. A chilling sense washed over me. The room behind stood empty, Keto, Wagra, the strawberry and tomato costumed figures, even the other masked maids, all gone. Only the girl holding my hand and the cows grazing in the flower bed remained. Water gurgled over the rockery. The house lay silent, redwood halls and pavilions draped in dark pink gauze and beads. The little girl tilted her head, her expression hidden by a half mask. In a soft voice, she said, "What are you staring at, guest? Come bathe and change clothes quickly." I yanked my hand away, voice trembling. Where are my friends? What is this place? Who are you? She covered her lips and laughed, like silver bells. Guest, this is Tomato and Strawberry Town. We're your servants. Your friends are enjoying the service now. If you don't shower and change. Her tone paused, then she squeezed my hand and whispered with a smile, if you don't come with me, you may never see them again. I glared at her, furious, but she only giggled, tugged my arm, and darted away. I followed through an endless wooden corridor to a sliding door. She opened it, revealing a dim room lit by flickering candles, a shallow hot spring basin in the middle. Before I understood it, she was pulling my clothes off. "Wait. What are you doing?" I tried to stop her. She cocked her head. "I'll change your clothes. Don't you shower naked? This isn't a game. Let my friends go." She giggled again, then murmured, "Let's play first. Yes, right, and your friends are safe." Without waiting, she laid out the choices. "Your friends are alive. Your friends are dead. If you obey me, they won't be hurt." "What if I answer wrong?" I asked. "I'll simply give you the right answer." I chose the third, willing to take the risk. I decided I wouldn't expose my Nen unless absolutely necessary. She stripped me and led me into the warm spring. The wound on my shoulder stung when she gently washed it. She warned I couldn't soak too long without harm. Rose petals floated, her soft fingers brushed my muscles. Steam swirled, then she pulled me out, drying me and handing me a crimson kimono embroidered with gold flowers. Fit was perfect. She led me to a small Japanese-style room with incense drifting and candles glowing. A low table and cushions awaited. I recognized the figure seated there, relaxed in a navy kimono, red hair falling across his face. "Hisaka?" I whispered, heart pounding. He tipped his head, smile lighting his golden eyes. "Come and sit." "Why are you here?" I demanded. He didn't answer directly. Sipping tea, he murmured, "Long time no see, Amber." Anger flared. I lunged to strike him, but his gaze extinguished my fighting spirit. Emotions tangled into tears, I collapsed, recounting my fears, loneliness, and betrayal, ever since the assassination attempt. I cried out my grief at being ignored, missed, and terrified. He gently cupped my face. "I'm sorry, you must have suffered." At that moment, I realized, this wasn't Hisaka. His voice, tone, they didn't match the real Hisaka I knew. The moment the soft words came, clarity snapped in. I stood and backed away. "Who are you?" He laughed softly, flicking out a handful of playing cards. "You think I'm not Hisaka because I'm gentle? Ha, you're wrong. I am Hisaka. Only Aiko-san and I are here." "Liar," I spat. He tilted his head, sorrow in his eyes, then beckoned casually. He poured tea, a fruit infusion just my taste. "Who are you?" I asked, voice trembling. He smiled, those golden eyes glinting. "I'm your illusion." Chapter 61. In my opinion, the difference between fantasy and illusion is mainly the difference between subject and object. The former contains more of the subjective will of the Imagineer, while the latter can be a scene presented without subjectivity. What they have in common is that they both originate from illusions. I sat at the coffee table directly opposite Hisaka and took a sip of tea, ready for a proper chat with this guy who'd appeared from nowhere. He rested his chin in his hand, looked at me with a smile, and explained, "I come from your memory, but I'm more than your memory. As long as you allow it, I am real. If you don't want me to be, I can simply vanish like a bubble." "I don't think this is how Hisaka looks in my memory," I said coldly. But I also said I'm not limited to the Hisaka in your memory. You know, human memories are subjective. Moments that matter get emphasized, and those that don't are ignored. I can peer into every corner of your memory, so I just became the Hisaka you needed. I don't want Hisaka to hug me. It feels horrible. But you want someone to rely on, someone to share resonance with, don't you? This man looked and felt like Hisaka, but he said things Hisaka never would. But this doesn't feel right. Is it wrong? Then why don't you come closer and find out what isn't? Hisaka is just Hisaka. He's my friend, not my appendage. The original Hisaka is the true one. If you change yourself just to cooperate with me, you aren't Hisaka at all. Oh my, that was painful. The memories we share could fully overlap. I stayed silent, my hands trembling around the teacup. Since all imagined things can become real, how can we judge whether this world is real or not? He continued. This is both fantasy and reality, it depends on how you believe in it. If you wish, you could stay here forever, just as a companion to me. In return, I can give you anything you want. I refuse. I gripped the teacup with both hands, lowered my head, and said in a fragile yet firm voice. Why? Their offers are so tempting. Because there's a kid waiting at home. I haven't spoken to him today. He'll be worried. And if I don't return, the real Illumi and Hisako will probably be concerned too, I whispered. Be careful they don't come angry and tear down your town. The figure in front of me laughed a few times, then abruptly shifted the topic, speaking of which. Do you remember what I say to you most? Don't trust others easily. I've heard it so much my ears feel calloused. That's right, but there, others obviously refers to anyone besides yourself, but you've shown zero defense against me. What do you mean? I began to ask, but when I met his gaze, my head suddenly spun, my vision swam, and I collapsed, knocking the teacup off the coffee table. What? Is there something in the tea? In the final moments before my consciousness slipped away, I vaguely saw the shadow of Hisako moving over to me and squatting beside me. I felt the back of his hand gently touch my cheek. I heard him say, drinking anything handed to you is never wise, and then I blacked out. Perhaps I lost consciousness, or maybe it felt like a scene change in a game. When I opened my eyes, I was leaning against an iron chair, my hands and feet wrapped in chains. A pale, blood-stained hand reached up and gently brushed the hair from my face. I froze for a moment, then my vision sharpened. A slender boy stood before me. He wore a tattered white shirt and smiled softly. Fish? I murmured. Yes, it's me, he replied quietly. Why are you here? Haven't you always been? So you're part of this illusion too? Where is this place? Don't you remember? You've been here before. This is the basement where I was killed. The Illumi family? Am I dreaming? Maybe it's a dream, I can't be sure. But you saw it. What did you see? I asked. That's secret, he smiled, tapped his lips gently, untied the chains around my wrists and ankles, clapped his hands, and said, Okay, you're free now. Are you sore where you were bound? Does it hurt? It doesn't. I answered, still dazed. What the hell is happening? Why am I here? I rose from the chair. My bare feet touched a cold, damp floor. The heavy red kimono weighed me down. I frowned, gazed into the boy's eyes, and pressed on. If this is an illusion, why bring me here? To make you see me, he said. To see you? I have questions for you. What questions? I hesitated. At that moment, knowing I would be killed, why? Didn't you save me? He said it with a gentle smile that sent a tremor through me. No. I stepped back instinctively, shaking my head. I couldn't save you. Because you were Illumi's target. Illumi? Is he so important? So important that even if one knows he's killed, it doesn't matter, and you still help him? But that's the way of the world. If I'm not decisive, I'll be the next to go. Besides, you and I are just passers-by, as are the rest. Why should I grieve over the affairs of passers-by? You mean, you're just doing your best to survive, right? The gentle male voice said slowly. He stepped beside me and smiled within my gaze. It's the same for everyone. We're all bound by the same rules. Then there's no reason to complain, if we all comply. But their families will be very sad, right? Families? Well, their wives, husbands, little daughters waiting for birthday cakes, parents preparing meals for children to come home. Society is built on these small moments. Though simple, they carry the warm, homely essence of the human world. He reached out and smoothed my ruffled clothes, continuing, When life ends, more beautiful things often break apart. People like me, who stood alone, aren't included. But aren't you also like me, always alone? I'm not. I rubbed my sore eyes and shook my head desperately. I have important people. Then who truly stays with you? Hisoka or Illumi? You've heard them speak of utilitarian value. One is a fickle magician, the other a cold-blooded killer. Do you think either genuinely cares about your life? A broken toy, if unrepairable, you throw it away. That's not true. So, are you imagining little one in your family? Ultimately, you know what he carries. You know that, because of who he is, once he decides to take on responsibility, he'll likely leave you. He won't let you stay with him forever. That kid values integrity, he won't let you get pulled into chaos. His pale hands pressed onto my shoulders. My legs gave out, and I collapsed. And the most important thing. He knelt, stroked my hair, and whispered, if that child discovered you were like the Kuruda murderer, slaughtering innocents, or like this world's indifferent creatures, watching passers-by die coldly, do you think he'd keep staying by your side? My throat constricted, breath trapped. That child is gentle, he holds justice and a moral line. Upright, truthful, intelligent, hates deceit. Do you believe he could truly tolerate you at his side? My vision dissolved. His voice warped. I looked up, and the figure before me pulsed into an undefined dark silhouette, ringed in white light. I glimpsed children running past, one crying in the distance as blood soaked the ground. That feeling again. I felt nauseous. I clutched my neck, kneeling and gasping. The boy loomed close and whispered, stay here. You'll find everything you want, and no one will ever leave you. I don't want it. I screamed, pushing away and sprinting up the stairs. Gravel and sand scraped my feet, but nothing mattered, I just had to escape. The staircase stretched endlessly into darkness. Water dripped all around. I climbed desperately until the hem of my kimono snagged, and I stumbled. But what greeted me wasn't the cold stone I expected, it was a warm embrace. Chapter 62. What's wrong? A familiar voice reached my ears, and I felt a large hand covering my head, stroking it gently. Suddenly, a dazzling white light filled the space. I squinted, and it took some time for my eyes to adjust. Is it Illumi this time? I looked up to see a white kimono illuminated by bright light. Its faint pink cherry blossom pattern and feminine cut suggested it was designed for a woman. Simple yet fitting, the soft sheen of the fabric and his fair skin complemented each other, making him look remarkably gentle. Illumi wore an exquisite cherry blossom hairpin. At this moment, he resembled a caring sibling, tenderly soothing me. Seeing me look up, he used his thumb to gently brush away the tears at my eyes. In a calm voice, he asked, what's wrong? You're crying so much. Did you have a nightmare? I climbed out of his arms and shook my head weakly. After a moment, I shook more vigorously and said, rather than a nightmare. It feels like I haven't woken up from the dream yet. So do you want to wake up? I don't know. I thought I did, but now. I'm not sure what's real or a dream. I don't even know if I need to wake up. I sat on the floor, hugging my knees, my voice a whisper. Are you running away? Illumi tilted his head, his black eyes soft and unfocused. That may be it. I was just an ordinary high school girl, pulled into this chaotic world by chance. Since I can't return, I might as well stay here. I'd be happy if you did, he said evenly. Come, I'll take you somewhere. I blinked sleepy eyes and asked, where are we going? Without answering, Illumi took my hand and helped me to my feet. We stood in a small, cozy white house. Bright sunshine streamed through the windows, spilling onto an endless lawn. In the distance, crumbling gray brick ruins lay scattered on a hillside. He opened the white door and led me toward the desolate structures. We walked across dewy grass stirred by a light breeze, past curious brown rabbits, through swaying dogtail grass, to a broken stone wall. Beyond it lay a courtyard nestled on the hillside. Several flowering dwarf trees grew in the yard, neither too few nor too many, spaced in pleasing randomness. There was order within the chaos, creating a soothing harmony. A grove of cherry trees stood there, heavy with blossoms. Cherry and apricot blossoms are similar, both fading before summer, but cherry blossoms on shorter trees are denser and more vividly green in my memory. One of my fondest childhood memories is of apricot and cherry trees in my grandmother's backyard, decked in blossoms. In late spring, the wind shook loose petals from the branches, showering down like delicate snow upon my body. I often sat on a small stool by the porch, watching the pink and white petals drift at the edge of the roofline. Spring skies are softer than summers, pale with wisps of white. The weather hovered in a gentle warmth, and as a petal landed, it made a soft ding against the earth, like a fingertip tapping. Because I loved cats, my grandmother's family kept many. Sometimes, a cat would slink by, half-lidded eyes walking quietly around me into the house. They ignored fallen blossoms, they preferred the warmth of a king or a full bowl. Since we moved, I never saw such serene, petal-filled beauty again. As wind rustled, Illumi took my hand and led me toward the courtyard's squat wall. We entered through a gap. He suddenly said, "I think you'd like it here." The blossoms amid the desolation signified gentle rebirth, simultaneously decaying and hopeful. It was breathtakingly beautiful. "Do you really want to stay here?" Illumi asked in a voice as light as the breeze and the floral scent. "I don't want to stay. But I'm afraid to go back, afraid to confront." "Aren't you afraid of the truth?" he prompted. "Maybe I know it already, but I refuse to admit it. I avoid important matters and excuse it as evasion." "If you already know in your heart, do you still want to avoid it?" "I have no choice. I don't know how to accept it." I buried my face in my arms. I once read that everyone is born with multiple personalities, and that talents often contradict each other, actions and intentions don't always align. Our youth is filled with confusion and pain. Personality can't be summarized into a few words. Growing up means eliminating inferior traits and fusing the rest into one. I resonated with that passage once, but ever since coming here, I feel that it's been turned upside down. I can't understand how you live so purely. Here, it seems everyone pursues their goals unscrupulously. I envy your conviction. I think a resolute heart must be a blessing. But I'm not. Whatever I want, should do, or must do, I hesitate. I'm not as determined as Illumi the killer, nor as whimsical as Hisoka. I'm not obsessed like Gale, nor able to discern morality like Kurapika. I'm the most erratic being, drifting among extremes, like a seabird in an endless ocean, neither good nor evil, and unsure of my shore. Illumi, I released his hand and looked away, voice trembling. I'm overwhelmed by my mediocrity. I don't feel worthy of standing beside you anymore. Illumi glanced at me and said nothing. I forced a bitter smile. That's pretty self-indulgent, isn't it? Yes, willful and spoiled. He looked away, gaze drifting among cherry blossom branches. But you're right. People do contradict themselves. I hadn't expected you to be so delicate. I thought you were just a girl who liked sweets and pretty skirts. Hey, don't insult me like that. Am I only childish in your mind? My brother will be 8 at Chinese New Year. He's 3 years younger than you, but his mental age seems similar. He stays calm under stress. He'd make a good assassin. Brother? You really are obsessed with brothers. And you feared I was a Zoldyck when Keto told me. That was terrifying. I don't want to be born into a killer family. Also, being compared to an 8-year-old isn't exactly flattering. I thought you'd be happy to hear it. Illumi raised an eyebrow, surprised, yet composed. How's that happy? I protested. By the way, what's with your outfit today? Why the women's kimono? Is that a new hobby? I don't know why, but I've been wearing this ever since I came here, he said calmly. Oh, okay, I said, walking to a cherry tree and sitting by its trunk. I picked petals and played with them. Illumi followed and sat beside me, one knee raised. I think the differences you feel arise because this world operates under different rules, he said. How do you mean? People raised in loosely regulated environments tend toward casualness and paranoia. They aren't constrained and thus have the courage to chase desires. The world isn't total chaos, so most retain basic values and a sense of right and wrong. Those traits form this society, you're the exception. I nodded, recognizing the truth. I don't think it's wrong. Being neutral or indecisive is still a choice. It's your choice. Your life differs from ours. You come from a rule-based society, so your thoughts and habits are shaped differently. There's no need to compare or imitate others, you just have to be yourself. Only you can be the unique person we choose to believe in. I wiped my tears, bowing my head. When did you become this good at comforting people? Illumi touched my head gently. In a steady voice, he said, though I'd like you to stay here, what's more important is finding a way for you to be happy, right? Then, unexpectedly, he pulled a pair of large scissors from somewhere, gathered my long hair, and cut it off in a few precise snips. My black hair fell to the ground like a wounded bird, some strands floated on the breeze. Illumi closed the scissors, tucked them into his belt, and said, I think short hair suits you better. I stared at him in shock. He met my gaze calmly and added, come to think of it, have I ever told you that you look a bit like my fifth brother? I shook my head. Illumi shifted, resting his chin on his hand. He thought for a moment, then said, Sei-san, it's time for you to go. Go? I echoed, confused. Yes. He nodded. The dream is ending. Just as he spoke, the world spun. Stone walls crumbled, the courtyard's ground shattered. Illumi remained seated, watching me with an unreadable expression as everything fell apart. I collapsed, and then, suddenly, I woke up. Warm steam greeted me, and I sat in a hot spring bath. A dark golden blur flickered before my eyes as a voice called my name. I blinked, clearing my sight, and heard Kito's voice, edged with surprise and concern. You finally woke up, Amber-san. Are you okay? Are you all right? Can you hear me? I nodded, pressed my hand to my forehead, and sat up. Kito quickly helped me to my feet. I glanced around, the bath area where I'd come in earlier. The torn kimono had vanished. I still wore the same skirt, but there was no sign of rips or stitches. The wounds on my shoulders had healed mysteriously. It felt as if everything before had been just a dream. As I rose, a small shadow drifted down from above my head. I heard a faint click on the floor, barely noticeable. At the base of my feet lay a single white petal, gentle and still. It was the same cherry blossom petal from the dream, chapter 63. I almost forgot that I was here to take the hunter exam. Kito woke me up. Lyra and Vagra were there as well, apparently they'd been roused by Kito too. Among our rooms, mine was the hardest to locate, hidden behind several secret doors. We'd only been in this town 3 hours, but I felt like I'd slept for 3 months. After checking our gear, we left the house and returned to where the car was parked. No one stopped us, not because they let us pass, but because no one could see us. Even the grazing cows by the roadside had vanished. It was as if the town had become utterly abandoned. We drove away without hindrance. This town really has a magical power to bewitch people, Vagra suddenly said. The rainforest around us was silent. I didn't reply. Kito chimed in, what about Amber? Did you dream something unsettling too? Dream, so, you also had dreams? I asked, glancing up. Kit's laugh. What a pity, I'm the only one who didn't dream. I just showered and ate. Quito replied. But Vagra and Lyra both did dream. What did you dream about? I asked hesitantly. An important person died, Lyra said softly. I dreamed of a changed past. But it's just a dream, so let's not dwell on it, Vagra replied quietly. And you, Ember? Quito asked me. I bowed my head, uncertain. After a moment, I said, I dreamed of cherry blossoms. The car's atmosphere became more subdued since leaving that strange town, but that gave me time to reflect. After calming my thoughts, I drew some conclusions. This tomato and strawberry town must have been part of the second test, if nothing unexpected occurred. The people we met were either real individuals hired by the association or manifestations created by a materialization ability, similar to the smoke clones made by Morel. Their popping up suddenly left us disoriented, causing us to miss key information. Also, the memory peaking ability is intriguing. Two possibilities occur to me: either the dream scenes were conjured by someone with both memory peaking and dream materialization powers, or those materialized figures and objects were crafted from the dreamer's memories. That would explain why the dream Hisoka and Illumi knew my weaknesses and history. This ability likely has restrictions. Perhaps scene changes happen when criteria are unmet. When I refused to stay, a scene switch triggered. The jump from Hisoka to Lyra fits that pattern. Furthermore, a memory-based constructed character could come with instructions like no need for absolute obedience, which might explain Illumi letting me walk away. From Lyra and Vagra's accounts, only Quito didn't dream, which suggests this power cannot self-awaken unless someone else intervenes, like Quito did for all of us. But why didn't Quito dream? Was it planned so he could rescue us? That seems excessive. Or perhaps he has no weaknesses. But that's unlikely, everyone has vulnerabilities. So when I asked Quito, is there anything you fear? He answered without hesitation, yes. I exhaled in relief. What's that? I pressed gently. I'm most afraid of my phone breaking. I spent a lot modifying it. But no matter how broken, I can fix it. Silence. So the system deems fixable faults as non-weaknesses. On the journey, Quito handled every challenge himself, winding mountain roads, rotting suspension bridges, landslides. Later, at the foot of the mountain, we ran into a giant beast blocking the road, which Vagra knocked down. I was basically a bystander the entire way. As the sun set, we reached the finish line. Shira was waiting there by a parked car. Only one candidate had qualified before us. With us, that makes 5. After completing the second test, everyone seemed more relaxed. The final destination was a hotel-style villa built by the Hunter Association. The bean-faced man, Beans, assigned us rooms and told us to wait. Technically, the deadline for the second exam was noon the day after tomorrow. After dinner, I sat dazed on the villa steps, while Shira and Morel chatted with other candidates over tea. I stared at the last orange-pink light on the horizon. My phone rang. I fumbled it out, Kurapika. Normally, I'd answer excitedly, but I hesitated staring at his name. I sighed and answered. Good evening, kid, I said, forcing a cheerful tone so he wouldn't notice something was off. Good evening. I think the night might be better if you stop calling me little devil. He sounded serious, so unexpected I had to laugh. Then he sighed and asked, how was your day? Okay, I passed the second exam. It wasn't easy. Any injuries? No, I'm strong enough to carry a cow. 10 cows, he teased. You brat. The sunset slanted across me as I chatted with Kurapika, holding the phone, but I couldn't shake a nagging feeling. A sparrow landed at my feet pecking crumbs. I hesitated, then said, Kurapika, can we talk about something? I took a breath. What kind of person do you think I am? There was a pause. Why ask? I crushed biscuit crumbs with my fingers, feeding them to the sparrows. I met someone during the exam. In a dream. His questions unsettled me. I feel there's something I need to tell you. I don't know the details, but it must trouble you. I'll listen seriously, he replied, gently. I think you are someone who worries a lot. Outwardly cheerful, but when quiet, you seem lost, drifting away, soul adrift. Sometimes I fear you'll vanish in front of me. He paused. You're gentle, though that side rarely shows. You speak coldly, but your actions don't follow. You're not lying, it's self-conviction. He continued, I don't understand your conflict. Why you go silent? When I ask what you're thinking, you say it's fine, you're just thinking about the past. It seems even if you trust me, you don't want to burden me. He went on, your calm, careful side shines with non-emotional tasks. But when it's tied to something personal, you become reckless, breaking your own rules. You're sometimes mature, sometimes childish, calm, then whimsical. And you're very afraid of loneliness. He then said firmly, but none of this changes how important you are to me. What you present is real. I like you, every part of you. His sincerity brought tears. Inside I felt guilty. I've struggled with whether to tell you this. Because we're more than partners, we're almost family. That scared me. I avoided confronting it. Except in my dreams. Someone told me neutrality is a choice, now I can't avoid it anymore. He responded, tell me what you want. I'll think carefully and decide. I inhaled deeply, held the phone. Maybe I'm not what you think. My friend is a professional killer. He taught me self-defense and how to kill. I know where to strike for a quick, painless death. I watched innocent people die without saving them, and I've killed people without grudges. Maybe I'm no different from the murderers you hate. I paused. I forced myself to abandon compassion, for survival. I thought I'd stick with that forever, but meeting you showed me it can't work. I tried to believe we don't need empathy, for things unrelated to us. But when I thought I'd accepted that, I realized if I want you by my side, that mindset is wrong. You have justice and responsibility, you don't give up on those who ask. Our parallels are contradictory. I won't kill freely, but I will if needed to survive. But unlike me, you aren't obsessed with staying alive. I don't know if my contradictions are excuse or truth. My voice cracked. I'm sorry. That's what you've been worrying about, he said. Yes. But not entirely. But I already knew. What? He said calmly, you're strange. You act without understanding yourself, then regret. It's not that I didn't know you'd kill someone, you don't need to apologize. I saw your footprints in the villa's basement, in the pool of blood. My breath caught. You said you're different from what I imagined, so maybe I'm different too. My goal is clear, avenge my people and recover the Kuruda eyes. From the start, I vowed to clear obstacles, show no mercy. Doesn't that make us more alike? I'm not saying it to comfort you. I just speak truth. As long as I can avenge my companions and bring them peace, I don't care about anything else. He paused. But, where possible, I don't want unnecessary sacrifices or involuntary victims. I can sacrifice everything to reach my goal, but you can't. You hesitate. You don't have the same resolve. So, you don't hate me? I asked softly, voice shaky. They say outsiders see more clearly, but I can't see through you. But I know you and the killers I chase aren't the same. They killed my family for profit. His voice dropped heavy like a stone into still water. I waited. He resumed quietly, but you brought me home that night. You hurt when you thought about killing. That's not indifference. Maybe it was survival, like my revenge. So, does that answer your question? How could I? How could I hate you? I never thought you were evil. I'll always be grateful you helped me when I needed help, he said firmly. The sky was fully dark, a half-moon glowing. Keto lay by the window, half awkwardly calling me back to cards. I wiped away tears. Thank you. And I'm sorry for stirring up those memories. It's okay, Kurapika's tone softened. Someone called your name just now. Go see who it is. Don't stay up too late, don't cry, rest well, do your best tomorrow, and take care. Okay. I nodded firmly. You too, stay safe, avoid trouble, and call me tomorrow. We exchanged final words, hung up. I drew deep breaths, steadying my heart. The sparrow had flown off, crumb remains scattered. I stood, smoothed my skirt, patted my chest, and returned inside. In the living room, Gale and the others were playing cards in a circle. Even Morel and Shira were there. I was the only one missing. Seeing me re-enter, Keto waved excitedly. Amber, done with your phone call? Come, join our game. Okay. I smiled and took the seat beside Keto. Why are your eyes red? Did you fight with your boyfriend? Lyra asked without looking up from her cards. No, I gasped defensively, voice hoarse. Lyra's noticed red eyes. Did you cry? Are you feeling unwell? She nudged me nervously over her spread cards. It's fine. But lower your voice, it's embarrassing. I waved her away and signaled with care to look at their hands. It's normal for girls your age to have emotions, Shira teased, tossing down 2 cards and smiling. Need relationship advice? I know more than you do. How old am I? And it's not that. Outside, cicadas buzzed in the summer twilight, a cicada rain washing through the villa's thin screens, echoing their evening-lit magic. Chapter 64. The next afternoon, while I waited, I was reading in my room. It was noisy outside, people were doing something, but I didn't know what. Keto suddenly knocked on my window. I went over and he pointed to the yard, where smoke curled up. It was Morel barbecuing. Remarkably relaxed. The first qualifier before us was a thin, somewhat flighty man with messy long hair. We never learned his name. By the end of this test, only 2 cars had arrived, 9 people remained qualified. After saying goodbye to Morel and Shira, we prepared for the 3rd test venue. You don't need to pack, Shira said suddenly. The next test is right here. The examiner will come later. Everyone exchanged surprised looks. That examiner's late, he must be tough, Shira warned, speaking in a low, conspiratorial tone. Just then, a disheveled man appeared at the door. He looked to be about mid-aged, unshaven, with wild hair, and a ragged scarf half covering his face. Aha! I guess I'm not too popular. He leaned in, arms folded. I'm Jing Freaks, your 3rd exam examiner. Shira eyed him incredulously. Keto smirked. Seated in the sofa's prime spot, Jing began, let's get to work. First, have you heard of the King's Game? Briefly, Keto explained, players draw cards, 1 king, the rest numbered. The king sees no extra card, he names 2 numbers and issues orders that must be obeyed. Jing amended the rules, with 9 of us, he'll hold the king card at all times. He has final authority. Fail a task, you're eliminated. A petite woman with curly hair protested, that's unfair. You could just eliminate us at will. He replied, I won't overdo it. Think of luck as part of becoming a hunter. They drew cards to test. I drew no. 4. Jing ordered me to fetch him a glass of water, which I promptly obeyed. Next came various simple rounds, fruit picking, cleaning, fish catching, no eliminations occurred. Then, no. 9. Retrieve my hat from the roof in 5 minutes. Lyra, no. 9. Leaped up, retrieved it, and won praise from Jing, you've got good speed and potential. Now it got harder, no. 6. Find the yellow diamond I hid in this villa within 3 minutes. The villa was massive, 3 floors, dozens of rooms. The pressure hit instantly. A man exclaimed in frustration. He searched, but failed. When time ran out, he lashed out at the sofa in rage. Jing comforted him and sent him away. A staffer escorted him out, eliminated. Then, no. 3. Step forward. Kido stood and asked Jing to stand. Then he retrieved the yellow diamond from under the sofa, a clever deduction. Jing's positioning and movements pointed to its hiding spot. Jing praised, observation and calm analysis, hunter qualities. Next, no. 5. Feed the animal in the backyard within 10 minutes. The candidate looked nervous and left. After 10 minutes passed, Jing said, he failed. No. 6. You do it. I bolted to the yard where I found an iron enclosure and a bloody man collapsed inside. Near towering winged animals, like mythical Changqi. I carried the man, who said, "Run," and with meat bucket in hand, I yelled at them and they froze like startled creatures of myth, possibly from my aura. I dumped meat in a large bowl and escaped, closing the gate behind me. Back at the villa, the man was rushed to the hospital by the association. Injuries were non-lethal. Knights checked me for blood but I was fine. Jing sighed, I knew this might happen, turns out feeding a creature is surprisingly tough. I asked what they were. Jing answered, they're winged servals, aggressive but timid, especially toward loud noises and fire. Jing paused, straightened his hat, looked us over, and said, 7 remain. Let's continue. Chapter 65. The title of this round of the game is a bit strange. Jing Freaks drew 5 numbers at once, handed each of those 5 people a bank card loaded with 100 million yen, and told them to leave now and spend all the money within 3 hours. The only rule, spend it legally. Items bought would be reclaimed by the association, while spending on services or experiences also counted, as long as the money wasn't destroyed or hidden, you passed. 100 million yen is no small amount, converts to about 7 million pounds. An absurd expenditure for a hunter exam. How wealthy is the association? The numbers drawn were 1 to 5, and I had no. 6. No. 7 was the rainforest, i.e., Lyra, so only 2 of us remained in the villa. The other 5 candidates drove off to spend their fortunes. I envied them, but had to wait. At 17:10, Jing started talking. Little ladies, what are your names? Lyra answered flatly, Rainforest. My turn, I'm Amber. What? Jing jolted, his eyes widening. You said your name is Amber? I repeated, yes, Amber. An uneasy silence followed. Then Jing abruptly stood, walked out, and made a phone call. He returned 5 minutes later. Your name belongs to an old friend of mine. I had to confirm, he confessed. She died long ago, just a coincidence. But she'll be here soon to pick something up. Then Jing set the round's challenge. He dealt 1 card to each of us. Lyra and me were no. 6 and no. 7. Then he explained. Before the 5 absent candidates return, we must guess each other's card number. A correct guess eliminates that person. If both guess correctly, both are eliminated. Fail to guess in time, both fail the test. Methods are unlimited. Suddenly, Lyra lunged, a knife aimed at me. I blocked with a pillow, my arm was scratched. She struck again, I retreated. I knew I was outmatched. Lyra was faster and more skilled. This wasn't a duel, it was a test of cunning. I dashed to the wall and grabbed a decorative sword, parrying her once with a clang that rattled my skull. She stopped. I won't kill you. Just tell me your card. How am I supposed to? You attacked too fast, you should give me a chance. We could negotiate. I stood, holding the sword. You're on Meteor Street, we rob whoever has what we want. She thrust again. Her words hit, though from similar backgrounds, Lyra's moral code was simpler. I dropped the sword, rolled aside, and smashed through a window into the courtyard. Desperate, I dashed through service windows, hiding from room to room. I could hear her behind me. She cornered me and grabbed my clothes, tearing them at the back. I leapt into the courtyard with the servals. Using nimble climbing, I scaled high walls, hid in ceiling crevices, and held stillness with Nen until Lyra rushed past. When she didn't see me, I slipped back inside, hiding in a bedroom closet. I whispered a wish, hoping to teleport her card under Jing's chair. I pressed dice, rolled a 1. I fainted. I woke to find myself on a bed, Lyra rifling through drawers. She noticed me stir. "Where are the cards?" she demanded. A cold dagger hovered at my throat. "If you don't tell me, you'll die. But if you kill me, you won't find the cards." "I won't kill you, not immediately. But interrogation can be excruciating. I don't want you to suffer." Suddenly I asked, "Do you think we're friends?" Lyra paused, then replied calmly, "Forget it. But I won't go easy on you because of that. I believe we are friends after everything we've been through. But like you, I won't hesitate and lose this chance. Even if I see you as a friend, I'm taking this seriously. I did hide the cards beforehand, but as friends, I won't deceive you with lies. I won't tell their location unless you agree to my terms." "A trade?" "Yes." I nodded. "Simple, you retrieve the cards yourself, you don't bring me along. Then I'll tell you where they are." Lyra hesitated, feeling the cards in her skirt, fiercely protective. "So you want me out of the way? To buy time? It's pointless. I can find you anywhere. Or did you use your ability and already know my cards?" "I can't answer that," I said. "Then I refuse." She sounded firm. "But I have no other option," I said. "Even if you torture me, I won't break. I won't sit and wait to be caught." I jumped from the bed and met her gaze. The room door was closed, and the window was open. Lyra walked over and shut the window. "I won't let you escape. Even with window and door locked, I'll break free. I may be weaker, but I won't surrender." Lyra considered this. "All right. I'm not eager to hurt you. I accept your proposal." Surprised at her quick agreement, I moved toward the window. I hid the cards in the crack of the brick wall in the porch, where the winged serval was kept. No sooner did I finish, two figures bolted in opposite directions, Lyra towards the backyard, me toward the living room. I ran through the corridor, past the dining and water rooms. Jing was dozing in the living room. I yanked up the carpet beneath his feet. He yelped and watched in shock as a playing card fluttered free. I snatched it and flipped it in my hand, then a throwing knife struck my thumb, pinning the edge to the wall. "It's the ace of clubs," I shouted. Even though the card was no longer in my hand, I knew its face. I looked up. Lyra stood at the gate holding the joker. That was her card. She'd retrieved her card in under a second. Had I said a moment later, I could have been eliminated. "What a cruel rule," Kito's voice interrupted. I turned to see him calmly seated on the sofa. "When did you return?" I asked. "Kinda magically," he laughed. "Just before you." I hadn't noticed him leave. Lyra approached quietly. I apologized. "I'm sorry." "For what?" she asked emotionlessly. Then she touched my head. "Amber wins. But I'll miss you, especially since I won unfairly." She smiled faintly. "Don't disrespect me like that." She brushed her long black hair, nearly waist length, and said, "I'll be back next year." "I was just lucky. You'll breeze through next year." Lyra laughed softly and handed me a business card. It had only her name and contact info. When I looked up again, she was gone. My heart sank. Quito told me he donated all his money to an orphanage. The money had to be returned to the association anyway, so donating made sense. Next, Vagra returned. He'd bought gold, a stable store of value he'd hand over to the association. Then the thin messy-haired man appeared. He shrugged. Money wasn't spent, it was stolen. Another man returned, claiming he spent everything on hospital bills. Finally, the short curly-haired girl, the same who protested earlier, told Jing with a flourish, "I spent it all on animals." Jing looked confused. She teased, "You unromantic uncle, don't you understand cute girls? Take good care of my animals." Jing sighed. Once all returned, the bean-faced man beans brought a note for Jing. Jing announced, "The final qualifiers are Gale, Vagra, Caillou, and Amber. Any objections?" A man objected, "Does spending on medical care count?" "Qualified," Jing replied, "but secretly saving excess money doesn't. You were too eager, it's disqualifying." He accepted defeat humbly. Another man simply smirked, he claimed robbery, and accepted elimination. With that, Jing ended the third exam. I finally exhaled deeply. Chapter 66-. The first to notice my torn clothes was Quito. Because I'm young, no one else seemed to care, even when they saw the tear. But Quito quickly took off his coat and draped it over me, worried I might catch a cold. I didn't need it, the association provided a new outfit and bandaged my scrapes. This time I wore simple black shorts and a loose white sweater with a silly dog in glasses print. With the basic design in monochrome palette, I looked almost boyish. There are only 4 exams. As usual, the final one is arranged by the Hunter Association President, Netero, and scheduled for tomorrow. We sighed in relief, ready to retire after dinner, when the door burst open. A girl of 12 or 13 strode in with twin golden ponytails, her attitude fierce. "Hey Jing freaks. Don't run off with my stuff. Since you're the examiner, why didn't you leave the diamond with the association? And why call me this afternoon? How could that happen?" She froze halfway when she spotted me. Her eyes widened in shock, mingized with something unreadable. "Amber? Are you Amber?" She hesitated, as if wanting to touch me, but stopped. I stammered, "I'm Amber. Have we met?" She looked conflicted. "No. It's just that Jing told me there's someone here named Amber, same as a friend of mine." I got flustered. "Sorry if I scared you." Still, her eyes betrayed pity. Were they lying? If it was just a name coincidence, how could she recognize me from the crowd? She stepped back. I hoped she'd done with it, but... "It's late, go to bed," Jing said softly. But she grabbed my arm. "My name is Biscuit." She held on, her dark pink eyes unwavering. "I'll contact you after the Hunter exam." Outside, light rain rustled in. She exhaled, masked her tension with a lighter tone, and added, "Good luck." I wanted to ask more, but Jing urged us away. I glanced at him, he was firm, unwilling to let it continue. I nodded and left. On the way back, Quito asked me quietly if I knew her. I shook my head. "That's odd, she knows you but you've never met? Maybe Amber's famous?" I didn't know, but suspected it had to do with my Nen ability. I admitted ignorance. He urged me to sleep. I nodded, said goodnight, and went in. But I couldn't sleep, anxious about Biscuit. Morning came and officials woke us for the final exam. We traveled to a venue resembling the ancient Roman Colosseum, 4 layers of stacked circular tiers, columns in Doric, Ionic, Corinthian styles, and a solid top ring. Statues lined the entrance. I was awestruck, this was real history, not just a photo. The others didn't share my wonder. In the arena stood an old man, gray hair tied high, thick eyebrows and beard, wearing wooden shoes and smiling calmly. Beans introduced him, Hunter Association President Netero. I'd heard his name, now I saw him. Ahaha, welcome, candidates, he boomed. The final exam awaits, are you ready? Vagra replied coolly, just tell me the exam content. Netero explained the final test, candidates won a license through one-on-one duels. But he'd procured something interesting and turned it into a melee. The four of us each received a small potion bottle. He continued, the arena has a dozen potions, each grants a different short-term effect. We must randomly draw and drink one, then duel. To pass, we must correctly guess anyone's potion effect or defeat someone. Keto asked, if everyone knows each other's effect, won't that make it easy? Netero smiled, effects only last until you acknowledge them verbally. Once you admit it, the potion fails. So don't admit. Will being discovered end it? Nope, as long as you don't admit. He then stated the time, 30 minutes to determine a winner. 30 minutes? I gasped. Vagra protested too, President, how can one winner emerge in only 30 minutes? Netero laughed serenely. Not kidding. Keto summarized, free-for-all for 30 minutes. Win by guessing a potion effect or defeating someone. Being discovered isn't disqualifying unless admitted out loud. Vagra asked, how do you defeat someone? Make them admit defeat. Netero answered as casually as though announcing dinner plans. I felt unsettled. The short time and odd passing conditions, guess potion or force confession, felt like a trick. With only 4 of us left after hundreds, nobody would quit. Victory through guessing seemed the only realistic path. What was the point? The wind swirled dust around me via the columns. I picked a translucent black bottle and followed officials into individual prep rooms. Each had a suitcase of props and a leather chair. Internally, I shook off doubt. These exams had drained me, I just needed to pass. I drank the potion in one gulp, sour, bitter, harsh. Moments passed, no obvious new ability, just a warmth. Behind the suitcase was a dusty mirror. I wiped it, gazed at my reflection, then froze. My reflection's lips curved slightly. Eyes half closed, a cynical expression I didn't feel, yet it was clearly me. Chapter 67 The originally clear sky suddenly started to rain. A dark light shone through thin gray clouds. When I walked out, Keto, Vagra, and Payu were already waiting. I hurried over, my heart as restless as the sudden downpour. Their clothes had changed in the rain. Keto wore a hat that matched his sweater, and Payu had a long coat. The rain soaked my hair, clothes, and skin. Everyone was silent. President Netero and other examiners stood at different positions, waiting for the final test to begin. The impatient atmosphere wasn't dampened by the rain. How could anyone guess the effect of a potion? I recalled Hisaka talking about Nen. One infers a person's Nen category through habit, behavior, essence. Inferring potion effects might be similar, but I lacked experience. I thought Kurapika would excel. And I hadn't even figured out my own potion. I pictured my reflection, the figure in the mirror mind shooting me. It felt too real, but then the mirrored me chuckled, startling me, and spoke. How do you know I'm imaginary and you're real? Besides, how do you know I'm looking at you, and not you looking at me? Those 2 lines hit me like a puzzle. I stood frozen. Keto noticed and draped his arm around my shoulders. He said nothing, but the gesture, strong yet gentle, was comforting. He was nearly 1.8 meters tall. Beside him I reached his waist. He smiled and said, almost done, Amber. Do your best. The referee gave a signal. I felt dizzy, step away from the others. The arena blurred in green warping lines. I shook my head to stay present. I glimpsed Vagra fighting Keto, who dodged calmly. Then Payu appeared behind me. I dodged instinctively, she grazed my nose. I stepped back, breath caught. I didn't want to fight. Something felt wrong, My 30 minutes felt endless. I felt a surge of homesickness. Payu was swift, but lightly hit me and asked, "Are you okay?" I dodged back. Vagra stared at Kito, while Kito observed quietly. They seemed to prioritize making someone surrender over fighting. I drifted closer to Vagra. Suddenly Payu lunged for me, but Vagra intervened, blocking her. I realized then, the subtle antenna peeking from Vagra's neck matched the one on Kito's phone. Kito must be controlling Vagra mentally, like a Lumi's mind needle. Kito wasn't just fighting, he was orchestrating. So why help me? Suddenly heavy fatigue dragged at me. I staggered, bit my hand, savoring the pain and coppery blood, awakening my thoughts. Vagra and Payu resumed fighting. Kito withdrew and watched both from afar. No sign communicated by Kito, just observation. I searched Vagra, no clue. Were my guesses about guessing alone wrong? If the potion's effect is subtle, maybe mirrored illusion, like mine, we'd never know. Anxiety and dizziness swelled. I scanned Kito and Payu again. Kito intercepted Payu with a quick counter, and something drifted near me. A green leaf floated down. The arena's sand was yellow, no green plants existed here. Kito must be controlling spacing. The leaf was dropped by someone else. Could a potion cause random plant appearance? Or was it Nen concealment? Or something conditional? I realized, the leaf meant potion-related plant generation. With that clue, I pursued them more deliberately, hoping for more evidence. But a whistle rang. 30 minutes were up. The referee approached with a stopwatch. It ended so soon. I stared in disbelief as memories of the fight replayed in my head. Pain, confusion. They hid something deeper. Kito gently removed something, a mental needle, from Vagra. The uncle rubbed his head and came to his senses. He spoke briefly to Kito, and they returned to the referee's office together. I stared blankly. No one thought anything was off. Was I overthinking? Now came the final part, guessing the potions. We sat at the four corners of the circle. Each candidate would write down guesses about one other candidate's ability and reveal them simultaneously. All examiners emerged from hidden curtains and stood behind us. Beans took the center and cleared his throat. "I'll read names. When yours is called, the others will write their guesses. We'll judge correctness immediately." I held the pen against my knee, not daring to look up. "First, Amber. Please write your answers." My heart thumped. I wasn't expecting to go first. Payu began confidently. Enhanced physical fitness. Was it just a wild guess? Kito held his chin in amusement. Vagra wore a serious expression. I rubbed my temples, discomfort flared since drinking my potion. Could it be a dud? No correct answers this round. Next, Vagra. I was clueless, left his box blank. Kito did too. Payu wrote rain. "Congratulations Payu, you're the first to pass the 283rd Hunter exam," announced Beans as applause broke out. Light broke, cutting through the drizzle, warming us. "First round luck," Payu shrugged. "Next, Kito." I guessed plant drop. Either he or Payu likely had it. Vagra surprisingly guessed long hair. I paused, then Beans announced, "Congratulations Vagra, second to pass." Kito removed his hat, revealing long, dark blonde hair sparkling in sunlight, so that was it. "Impressive deduction in short time," Kito joked. "Just spotted a difference," Vagra replied, modestly. His hair shimmered and floated like petals in the wind. "Now final round, last is Payu." We wrote plants falling. We showed simultaneously. Kito had written plant growth. "Congratulations Kito and Amber, you've passed the 283rd Hunter exam," Beans declared. "Please proceed to the spaceship to collect your licenses." Piayu unzipped her coat dramatically, petals, stems, and leaves spilled out, rooting instantly in the sandy arena. Blooms spiraled up the columns in vivid color, filling the field with green life. Sand was soon buried in flowers. Keto gently helped me out from tangled vines. "When did you figure it out?" Piayu pouted. "I thought I hid the plants. They go wild in sunlight," she sighed with mock frustration as the floral growth receded and vanished, as quickly as it arose. The arena reverted to dust and stone. Keto placed me gently on the ground. "Beautiful. But fleeting." We stepped outside and prepared to head to Hunter Association HQ. Inside the impressive HQ, I held my license card in trembling hands. After so many trials, I'd made it, and felt both triumph and relief. The association spent an hour briefing us on the Hunter Code. My mind drifted as I absorbed our accomplishment. Finally, we were cleared for departure, homebound at last. Hey Hunters! Short break. Because YouTube likes it when I transform content, so here's me. Transforming. Right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, done. Let's dive back in. Chapter 68. We reject nothing, so do not take anything from us. Hearing that phrase echo, I snapped awake from my dream. Around me were neat green chairs, and in front of me, a half plate of cold noodles. I actually fell asleep eating? The dream slipped away instantly. I only remember the line appeared in a news report on the massacre of the Kuruda, possibly from the killer. What does it even mean? I shook off the fog, glanced at my watch. It read 3:10 p.m. Sunlight streamed in. I realized I was on the airship. My hand went to my pocket. There lay the Hunter license I'd earned. Holding it in my fingers was surreal. Memories began to drift back in fragments. After the Hunter exam, we celebrated with a banquet. I swapped numbers with the others. Gale said he'd visit when free. Vagra would continue training. Piayu aimed to become an ancient documents hunter. Unexpected. Biscuit never appeared, despite promising to meet. Jean Freaks quietly invited me to a ruin expedition at the banquet. I declined, saying I needed to look after Kurapika. Jing turned pale until I clarified they meant my brother, then bowed and respected my choice, though sending a 10-year-old into ruins always seemed suspect. I used my license as privileges to rush home via the next ship. Since drinking that final potion, I'd felt there was something missing, memories fractured. I exhaled, cleared my head, returned the dish, and collapsed onto the crisp white bed. A quiet beep, Kurapika answered. "Good afternoon," I said, smiling. "Afternoon, Amber. I was about to call," he replied in his steady, gentle tone. Warmth washed over me. I teased, "Did you eat well today, little guy?" "Don't talk like a parent," he grumbled but asked with concern, "How are you? Did the exam go well? Any injuries?" "No, all good. Ate well. Very strong, actually. Don't underestimate the enemy." I kept quiet about heading home, wanted a surprise. "I'll be back in 2 days. Be careful. Wishing you well." Remembering an old poem about rushing home, I hummed happily. I missed his cooking, his presence. Then something jolted me. I looked in the mirror and saw me. Arms crossed, a smug smile. But it wasn't me. "You're so lucky. Always cared for, lucky enough to be envied," said the reflection. Cold sweat trickled down. I knelt, every nerve tense. "Don't worry, won't hurt you," the image continued. "Why are you wary? You have no reason to judge me yet. Who are you? Doesn't that answer lie within? I'm derived from the potion, your mirror illusion." Heart pounding, I sifted through today's exam memories. The Keto never asked about my potion, which was odd for him. Details felt off. I spoke aloud, "If I tell someone the potion's power, you'll disappear." Who knows, she smiled. I just echoed your thoughts. I didn't claim I come from the potion. Besides, who's real and who's illusion? Only you can decide. I stepped toward the mirror. So you might be real? But that'd undo all my memories. Who are you? Some things are unknowable. My existence means something, I just don't need to explain it. Silence. I grounded my breath and dialed Gale, the one person who might have clarity. Amber? What's wrong? His voice was immediate. Anything happened? I need to ask you, do you remember my potion's effect? Of course, Keto said quietly. You told them after everyone missed it. Why ask now? I noticed something odd about you today. Did something happen? Desperation rose. My head felt tight. I crouched, holding the phone, fingers trembling. Keto, please, tell me what I said during the exam. There was a pause. Then his calm voice returned. Okay, I'll tell you everything. Chapter 69 I am you, or maybe not, maybe I am just a dream, your fantasy, maybe I am your fragment, your true self. My existence is uncertain and has countless possibilities. You can imagine as much as you want, but you have no way of knowing which one is the correct answer. So, if one day, you find that another you suddenly appears in this world, she may exist in your consciousness, or come from a parallel universe like you, or she may be another soul living in this body with you, how will you feel and how will you react then? No matter how far-fetched this sounds, unfortunately, this is exactly the dilemma I am facing at this moment. I can only see her in the reflection of mirrored objects, perhaps a mirror, perhaps reflective glass, perhaps puddles on the roadside, or even silverware. She appears intermittently, like a false illusion, yet she is everywhere, often popping out from time to chat and ask questions with no answers. She will appear when I call her, but will not disappear at my will. She will not move, nor give any answers, but will just quietly look into my eyes through the mirror, as if standing on top of a mountain, calm and unchanging before the ever-shifting scenery below. What is the difference between you and me? I know more about you than you do yourself, but telling you everything won't help me, it would just bore you. So I'll keep secrets. Though you'll find out eventually. The corridor's glass reflected a vivid duplicate under the soft lighting. I gripped my bag strap and paced forward, the marble flew under my shoes with crisp clicks. I was in Lopez, 5:30 a.m., the airship had landed. I walked through the airport silently. Across every reflective surface, the girl accompanied my steps, and spoke. I asked her name. She said, I have the same name as you. To distinguish her, I named her Vera. She neither agreed nor objected. Gale had explained last night's exam. My potion effect, I truly didn't remember saying it aloud. According to Gale, I lifted my shirt and showed a totem printed on my back, which startled everyone. So the potion didn't create mirror speech, rather a hidden totem. It was in my blind spot and faded before Keto could photograph it. I was stunned by Gale's tech. In this world, he had a phone with a camera while I still used a basic model. Another issue, I apparently struck Payu during my sudden counterattack. Her minor injury surprised me, because I recalled no contact. Payu had guessed physical strength enhancement for my potion. Perhaps during my memory blackout, I did exhibit extra strength. She may have sensed that during the fight, evidence of the totem's power. But if the totem exists, why do I have memory gaps? The terrifying thought, Vera might control my body, explaining actions I don't recall. So many questions. Who is Vera? What is her origin? I listened to her but said nothing, trying to parse every word. She claimed to know me better than I do. What secret could she reveal? Under dawn's pale light, I ran home along near empty, icy streets. The snow-smeared lamp posts flickered overhead. My knees numbed in the cold, but I pushed on, hoping for Kurapika-made breakfast. I threatened Vera, don't use my body to contact Kurapika, or I'd banish her with my ability. She agreed, eerily compliant. She seemed to read my mind, but still I knew nothing. An hour later, I reached home. I pushed open the gate. The courtyard was untouched, snow swept smooth. At the door, my heart raced. The key clicked, a small chest inside me opened. Just as the door shut, I heard a swish, from the bathroom. "Amber?" A surprised voice. Kurapika emerged, towel around his neck, hair still wet. Our eyes met, stunned. "It's me, I'm back." I smiled, relieved. Kurapika stepped forward and hugged me. Warm, gentle, unexpectedly anchoring. To hide my shock, I teased, "Cherry blossom shampoo today?" He nodded, head buried in me, "Because you said you like it." At that moment, we felt like family, natural, loving, real. I hugged him back, tousled his hair, then gently signaled him to release me. He pulled away reluctantly. I laughed, "Only been a week, how clingy." He averted his gaze, bangs fell across his face. His voice trembled, "I missed you." Chapter 70. Such a frank and direct way of expression is obviously not Kurapika's style at all. I patted his shoulder and left his embrace. He grabbed my arms with both hands, felt them up and down, and said in surprise, "Why are you so cold?" Although Nen ability can make people tougher, it can't make people resistant to cold. Only after he said that did I realize it. Kurapika took 2 steps back and gave me a quick once-over. "This outfit. Could it be that you came back wearing these shorts? It's almost -30 degrees outside in the early morning. You're so reckless. Don't you care about your body?" I didn't expect to be scolded by the kid as soon as we met. Though I felt a bit unhappy, I knew he was right and couldn't argue. "I was too anxious to come back to see you," I muttered, trying to tone up the warmth and get away with it. Clearly, it worked. He opened his mouth but fell silent, then sighed deeply. When I looked up, his eyes were full of helpless concern. "I'm fine, really not cold," I explained, touched by his care. "Your lips are purple from the cold. The tip of your nose, your ears, your whole cheeks are red," he said, then reached forward and gently checked my knees. "And your knees too. If you keep this up, you'll catch a cold. Why don't you have any common sense at all?" "I'll get you a blanket. Just sit and don't move," he instructed, quickly wrapping me in a thick comforter from the bedroom. "Now I'll get hot water for a shower. You can go after that, I'll make breakfast." I was still disoriented but let him handle everything. But then he said breakfast and I snapped to attention. "Are you cooking?" "Yeah. I just woke up and haven't eaten yet." "Want something special?" "Today you get to order." "Perfect," I said, smiling. "Fried rice with sweet corn and snow peas." "Simple and elegant," he responded with a private smile, then headed for the bathroom. He came back a few minutes later, legs poking from behind the door. Watching him move about, I felt proudly maternal. "You've grown taller?" I asked as I huddled on the sofa. "I don't know, I can't feel it." "Well, let's measure at dinner." Soon I sank into a steaming hot bath. As I closed my eyes, I felt warmth against my body and thought I heard a faint voice in my head, looking for an accidental death. Thinking it a brain lag, I swatted the hair away and scolded, "Shut up. You are really cold and cruel with me." I shook the voice away and, feeling energized, trotted to the kitchen to help Kurapika. He refused, saying, "You just rest." He insisted I sit and brought me a steaming bowl of ginger sugar water. "Last time you were sick, remember? Anyway, even if you dislike hot things, drink it. If you fall ill, I won't care." Too sneaky, no candy for that. I wrapped hands around the bowl and closed my eyes. We ate a slow breakfast. I told him about the hunter exam and everything that happened. Kurapika listened with rapt interest, nodding. I kept silent about the mirror, and the mystery of Vera, unsure how to mention it. I know he and young Demi both dreamt of becoming hunters. Without these sudden changes, he would have stayed on that bright path, full of innocent hopes. Once, I asked, if his revenge succeeded and he found all flaming eyes, what then? He paused, shook his head, and said, I don't know. I yearned for him to live for himself, not to be consumed by revenge. Ached to see him free, not trapped in that cage of hatred. If I must say. He lowered his voice. After revenge is over, I want to stay with you. His eyes were pure, unfiltered, this was his truth. I was moved to tears knowing how much he trusted me. Selfishly, I wondered if I'd tamed him, like the little prince and his fox. Though our conversation was minimal, it was warm. We spoke of his week. I was surprised to learn he'd spent a lot of time with Beans. I asked how. Kurapika explained that Beans sometimes acts erratically, but without malice, and the experience sharpened his thinking. His curiosity amazed me. After breakfast, Kurapika insisted on clearing the table. I, feeling guilty, offered to help, but he refused. I sulked and started washing dishes. He threatened no next meal cooking if I stayed, so I surrendered. Our joyful morning was soon a flurry. The snowfall sparkled as the sun crept through. I showed him my hunter's license. Our next goal, find an internet cafe to research the Kuruda massacre via the exam website. Then the phone rang, from an unknown number. Kurapika and I exchanged questioning glances. I hesitated. Then answered. Amber. A familiar girl's voice, not Vera, but Biscuit. Bischi? I startled. I'm in Sa Lopez, at a cafe called Nebula, on the east bank of Flagtail Creek downtown. Can you meet me? I have something important to tell you. Why should I? We hardly know each other, I said warily. Why not phone? Besides, I don't fully trust you. Then I'll come to your home. Don't underestimate hunters. She was calm. Jin said you have a younger brother. If I can't meet you, I will involve him. Threat delivered, I inhaled slowly. Fine. I'll come. We'll talk when we meet. You should arrive within 30 minutes, travel safely, she said. I'll wait. I sighed. I thought I'd get a quiet pause, but I was right into the storm again. Chapter 71 The vast sky is filled with large white clouds. The upper part of the clouds is dyed by the sunlight, as if coated with a layer of golden light. The orange-pink background of the sky is faintly visible below, evoking imaginings of the world above the clouds. Pigeons flap overhead, bringing the scent of the wind. Kurapika has really grown a little taller. I confirmed this when I measured his height after dinner. Although it hasn't been long since the last measurement, it's only natural, kids his age grow fast. As for me, I've given up measuring myself, since there's no change no matter what I do. During the hunter exam, Kurapika called earlier and said he had something for me. He pulled it out while we were chatting this morning. I thought it was a romantic surprise gift, but he produced a heavy iron collar from his bag. What the hell? This kid has this weird habit? Seeing my face contort, he hurried to explain, it's not what you think. Because when I was talking to your friend on the phone before, he told me to make sure you can make a sound no matter what. Although I don't fully understand that sentence, if you become unable to speak, the situation will definitely worsen. At that time, assassins coming for you would probably attack your throat. So, I thought giving you this would offer an extra layer of protection. I patted my chest, breathing a sigh of relief. Thankfully, it wasn't what I feared. I inspected the collar. It wasn't just an ordinary dog chain. It had real design sense. The front was a thick plate of silver shining iron, the back, a sturdy leather belt for adjustment. The plate's moderate thickness provided decent protection. I held my chin thoughtfully, then nodded unintentionally. When I looked up, I caught his slightly hopeful gaze. I smiled gently and said, "You make sense, but I'm sorry, I'm not wearing it." As expected, Kurapika showed a rare expression of defeat, muttering in grievance, "Although I guessed you'd say that, I worked hard to buy something like this, and spent time modifying it to fit you. If you'd wear it, I'd feel much more at ease. Even if you use the self-torture trick, I'm not soft-hearted. Just drop it." I rolled my eyes and turned away unhappily. "But I am really worried about you." "It's okay." I suddenly turned serious and nodded firmly. "I won't make that stupid mistake again, so I don't need this. I'll give it to Blaze when he comes. A lion can't wear something like this. How about you wear it yourself? That way you'll have an extra layer of protection, and I'll feel safer as your sister." Kurapika and I stared for a moment, then he sighed softly and replied, "If you really don't want to, there's nothing I can do. I don't want to force you, I just want to protect you as much as I can. But you're right, if I become stronger, you won't need this." I get the first part, but I didn't say anything about the second. Memories from before flashed through my mind and I laughed softly as I ran. Winter skies darken early. Just after 3, the sun was already setting. I went to meet Biscuit as scheduled, but it felt too much like a trap. It took ages to convince Kurapika to let me go alone. He heard my conversation and was sure the other party wanted to lure me out. In the end, to reassure him, I told him I'd wear the collar. He hesitated but couldn't stop me. Time waits for no one, and every minute of delay increases danger. So I ignored him and rushed out. I promised to return safely and to eat the mushroom soup he'd made for dinner. In the city center, I found the cafe Biscuit mentioned. Pushing open the cool door handle, wind chimes jingled. I entered, rubbing my red, frozen hands, and scanned the small shop. It was quiet. The owner, a kindly uncle, stood behind the bar and nodded at me. His gaze led me to a swirl of golden hair behind a chair. The high ponytail, decorated with lace, bobbed as she heard me, and she waved me over. The atmosphere felt calm, no ambush, no telekinetic clues, no murderous aura. That relaxed me some. Her eyes looked as mature as ever. She stared as I approached, then I noticed someone sitting beside Biscuit. The little polished stone I'd picked up earlier fell to the floor with a pop. I widened my eyes, staring in disbelief at the girl next to Biscuit. She cocked her head, beaming with a perfect smile. "Sister, long time no see," she said. "Life throws unexpected curveballs. So we can't trust everything gods or systems say. Before I came to this world, the little girl claiming to be a god told me the system would auto-generate a new body. But this current state shows the body's actual owner is someone else. That girl beside Biscuit claims she was once my twin sister, named Amber." The word vine itself means thin branches growing horizontally, and the mulberry trees over the well symbolize death approaching. Between us, one grows infinitely, the other lives toward death. I was suddenly dazed. It felt like a cosmic joke. Turns out even this body doesn't belong to me. It turns out I'm an outsider here, like a hermit crab in another shell, living a dream that belongs to someone else. So if the original owner of this body is Amber, who am I? What does my existence here mean? Chaotic thoughts flooded my mind. I hunched and curled on the seat opposite them. Snow began to fall sparsely outside. Cold air seeped in through window cracks. I heard the girl named Amber repeatedly whisper, "Sister, you really can't remember?" "Remember? Remember what?" "I remember that I was once your sister, the stories you told me that weren't mine, and that 18 years ago, I died in a wasteland. Then 18 years later, I miraculously came back. My body, rotted long ago, was renewed, and my hot heart now beats before you. I stole the body of a dead person, who happened to be you, Amber." I don't know when the girl came over and sat beside me, gently gathering me into her arms with soft, slender fingers. As she moved, the fragrance of an unknown flower filled my nose. My whole body trembled uncontrollably. She looked just like me, but her long hair differed from mine and matched the one in my dream. She was gentler and more graceful than me, radiating a compassion I'd never had. "Sister, how could you forget? We once loved each other so much." Her voice was sweet and clear as pure jade. "But it's okay. Even if you forget, I will always love you. Little Amber will always be by your side." A feeling of powerlessness washed over me. My head spun, like a rainstorm clearing tangled nerves. My limbs froze, I curled tighter, breathing heavily. Tears and sweat mixed, falling in great heavy drops. I didn't know why I cried or why I hurt, and suddenly felt an urge to die forever tonight. "Return this body to you, to your sister, the real Amber. Not me, the substitute." Suddenly I heard a voice from within. "Don't go too far." The words came clearly from my mouth but weren't mine. I don't know when the mirror took over my body again, but this time I felt it. "Huh?" The girl, Amber, froze for a moment, then relaxed her hand on my shoulder. "I advise you not to overstep. Since bodies can be reshaped, it's not easy for me to disappear." A faint voice from my throat. My tears stopped, and my facial muscles subtly twitched. I recalled the cynical, indifferent smile Vera usually gave me. "So, do I wear that expression now?" "Haha, I knew it. I'm not displaced so easily." Amber smiled brightly and grasped my hand tenderly. In other words, what she held wasn't my hand, but the mirror. Chapter 72. The shelter was built on the outskirts of a small country in the west. No one knew what kind of people lived behind the towering walls. All that was known were the 6 characters Babylon Shelter engraved on the metal doorplate of the closed iron gate. The sisters had lived here as far back as they could remember. The elder sister is Amber and the younger Little Amber, twins. The shelter spanned a large area with all sorts of facilities, bedrooms, hospitals, churches, farms. A perfect, utopian bliss akin to Plato's ideal society. Here, everyone performed their roles with zero conflict. The supposedly impossible to run system thrived, and for years the girls believed the world was meant to be peaceful. They'd lived here since childhood. They were identical in every regard, right down to their skin, their eyeball lines. Only Little Amber had a long scar across her abdomen, caused by a childhood fall. To help tell them apart, the shelter staff cut Amber's hair short, while Little Amber wore hers long. They'd never left, until age 8, when they were finally taken outside and saw the sky beyond the walls. The outside world surpassed imagination. They traveled far, across many countries, seas. Gulls landed on the ship's mast, salty wind brushing their faces. The journey lasted 2 years. Then, in an autumn wilderness, fire raged, a towering blaze devouring hills. The crowd broke apart. Amber, the staff, all perished in the autumn flames. Only Little Amber survived. Since then, no one from the shelter searched for her. She wandered alone until Biscuit rescued her. Biscuit healed her burns and reshaped her body to remain 10 years old forever. It was the only way Little Amber had to remember Amber, the sister she once loved. I quieted as Little Amber told her story. It clicked. I inhabited the body of Amber, long dead. 18 years ago meant Little Amber was actually 28. Actually 19 years ago, New Year was just days ago. Little Amber held my hand, voice soft, but no matter how many years pass, my love for my sister doesn't fade. You are the meaning of my life. So this time, please don't leave Little Amon alone. If I find my sister but can't be with her, my life loses meaning. But I'm not your sister. I lowered my head. I'm sorry I suddenly claimed your sister's body. It wasn't intentional, and I don't know how to return it. I'm selfish too. I have people I can't let go. If there are lines I can't cross, I won't give in. Little Amber's blurred eyes searched mine as she gripped my hand. Who does sister care about? Have you found someone more important than Amon? I told you, I'm not your sister. I yanked my hand free, voice low. I'm going home. Don't follow me. If you hurt Kurapika, or my friends, I won't let you go. No matter the cost. I stood and left the cafe. Little Amber reached to stop me, but Biscuit intervened. I didn't look back, even as I heard Biscuit calling behind me a few steps later. I'm sorry I lied, threatened those close to you. Biscuit hurried up and bowed. I paused awkwardly. We won't disturb your life. I'll convince little Amber, but her obsession. No, her obsession with her sister reached an extreme. Since the accident, she seems to have died with her sister. She may live, but she's not alive. Biscuit looked at me sadly, as if hoping I understood. I frowned. My heart felt smashed, mixed emotions, but tears wouldn't come. I wanted to avoid these emotional stabs. I wanted to escape everything. But I can't. Many things await me. Whether right or wrong, I must move forward. I'll consider everything seriously. Give me time, I said. I'll give you an answer. I'll find a way. Without goodbye, I left without looking back. Biscuit's eyes, full of apologetic compassion, mocked me, or so I felt. Laugh at my self-righteousness, laugh at my ignorance, laugh at everything I thought was mine but wasn't. The lightly snow-dusted road was slippery. I nearly fell several times, but I ran desperately. I didn't want to think. I didn't want to care. I just ran into the darkness of this cold winter. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know where I was or what I was doing, only that I kept asking myself the same question, why didn't you tell me? You are the sister that girl mentioned. The original owner of this body. You know everything about her and about you too. Why didn't you tell me? Are you happy to see me like this, miserable? Facing my accusation, Vera wasn't angry, only calm. If I told you ahead, would it change the ending? Besides, I had no obligation to tell you. She had a point. Would knowing be any better? I'd still be crushed by reality, suffocated, trapped. In the end, I'm just a parasite in someone else's body, even if that person once died. Why not take your body back? I asked, voice shaking. You obviously can, so why? Because you're the current owner of this body, Vera answered gravely. I'm just a dead person. I wouldn't exist without you. If you hadn't come back, I wouldn't have awakened. If you died, I'd disappear too. Disappear? So that's why you promised not to hurt me, right? You, the original owner, become a ghost, and I. You don't have to overthink it, Vera said slowly. Like I said, I've been dead for a long time. Compared to that, I still advise you to be careful with little Amber. Things with that girl are more complex than you imagine. Amber. The conversation was abruptly cut. A warm embrace, a familiar breath, clamped me tightly in arms I knew. Familiar warmth engulfed me. I swallowed to clear my throat, and the collar I wore rose and fell with my breath. Kurapika? Why are you here? I stammered, voice raw and hoarse. Then, I heard that small voice whisper sadly, "Don't leave me." My headache cleared. I tried to move, but he hugged me too tightly, leaving no escape. I felt warm, wet tears on my cheeks, and found myself crying again. My tears soaked Kurapika's clothes. I sobbed. Eventually I shook uncontrollably. I gritted my teeth, ashamed to cry in front of a child. I always prided myself on being stoic, but now, grief, fear, despair crashed through like waves, and my heart poured cold seawater that numbed me. Probably for the first time seeing such a strong cry, Kurapika panicked briefly. He shed his scarf and draped it over me, continuing to hold me close. His gentle hand on my back and steady breathing soothed me. I buried my face, wiping tears, preparing to speak. "Let's leave this place first. Amber seems feverish." But before I could finish, Vera spoke again, cutting in. Chapter 73 I don't remember how I got home. The next afternoon, I woke dazed in bed. The half-drawn curtains filtered the sunlight. On the sofa, hidden in shadow, sat a little blond boy, Kurapika, his head resting on the armrest, sleeping lightly. I'd dreamt of baking apple pie in a seaside cabin framed by sunflowers. My phone buzzed beside my pillow. I grabbed it and saw several gray-green envelope icons on the pixelated screen. I tapped and opened the message. It was from an unknown number. A few tender words: "Sister, I miss you so much." I squeezed the phone and whispered, "Do you want to reply to her message?" "No need," Vera said. "She shouldn't think about a dead person." I glanced at Kurapika, still asleep with his head to one side, and murmured, "You can actually read my thoughts, right?" "Not only that, I can see your memories," Vera answered. "Then, how did you appear? Have you always been in this body?" "Don't worry too much about me," Vera said calmly. "If I must say, my presence is inevitable, not essential. I exist while you're here and vanish when you leave. I told you I'm dead, I can exist only because of you. You're occupying my body, and I should thank you for returning me to life." "But why am I occupying your body? I have so many questions. You know things you're hiding. You'll see in time. Even if I don't tell you, you'll discover it." Hearing me whisper, Kurapika stirred awake. The poor kid must have been exhausted caring for me to fall asleep on the sofa. Seeing me awake, he sat up and approached, his small hand reaching to check my forehead. "Thank goodness the fever is gone," he sighed, then sat beside the bed, concern in his voice. "I waited here. Why didn't you call me when you woke? How are you feeling? Any worse?" I nodded to show I was fine. "Thanks for taking care of me. Did something happen last night? Did I have a fever? I only remember waking up and seeing you, I can't recall anything before." He paused, gathering his thoughts, then spoke with gentle firmness. "You were gone a long time, and I was so worried I went out looking for you. I found you collapsed in an alley, you'd cried so hard your eyes were red and rabbit-like. You were burning up, barely aware. I rushed you home, you took the medicine, and fell asleep. Fortunately, you cooled down quickly. But I'm worried. Will you tell me what happened yesterday?" I wasn't planning to hide it anymore. I nodded without hesitation. I told him everything, from the final hunter exam to last night's meeting. Others might think I'd made it up, but Kurapika was shocked, then calm, trusting. He was more mature than me in that moment. "I'm grateful you don't doubt me," I said. "As a friend and family, I trust you completely," he replied earnestly. "Things are complicated, the story isn't seamless, but whatever you face, I'm here for you. I'll do everything to help you. I don't want you to vanish, I need you here." His body trembled slightly as he spoke. I held his trembling hand and softly said, "I won't leave you. I swear." People feel helpless sometimes, beneath rules, their own smallness, the universe's vastness. Everyone's goal seems to be finding meaning in their brief time. Yet answers always come with regret or uncertainty. The world's mysteries hide like layers of clothing, peeling off one reveals another. Perhaps that's why people chase the world's revolving mysteries. Vera honored her promise and avoided appearing whenever Kurapika was around. 2 days later, Biscuit messaged, she'd taken Little Amber away and would allow me and Little Amber to be apart. She said I had my own life and wasn't whom Little Amber was searching for. I knew this. But the voice inside me was. Since learning the truth, I've felt a strange empathy for Vera, guilt for stealing her body, sorrow for her fate. More than anything, sadness, confusion, helplessness about my future, estrangement from this world. I felt like an intruder. This revelation unsettled me. Kurapika offered gentle, rational insight, but many answers remained unknown. I doubted the authenticity of everything. Returning to the swamp where all began, I wondered if this world was a dream, if the mirror and vines were fantasy, if the sparrows outside were illusions. Most of all, am I really me? Do I belong here? Or am I living someone else's fantasy? My doubts stemmed from everything bizarre I'd lived. I whispered to myself, who am I? Whenever Kurapika heard me, he answered without fatigue, you are yourself. Not anyone else's replacement. For 2 days, Kurapika cared for me. In my bedroom, buried under a pile of dolls, I noticed he'd become a little adult while trying to care for me. And yet, as a grown woman, I'd made him worry. I felt guilty. One afternoon we built a snowman in the yard. Fresh snow pressed tight and grown into a big ball, then topped by a smaller one. We gave him a carrot nose, button eyes, a bucket on his head, and a red scarf. The snowman looked like he was smiling back. As Kurapika stuck twig arms into the snowman, he said once more, you're not a copy, you're yourself. Because I've asked that question too much. I asked. That's part of it, he nodded. I just want you to be happy. And I really want you to know you're unique to me. Even if someone looks like you, even if they can read your memories, even if they become you. None of them are you. No one can replace you. Just as you won't replace someone else. He smiled warmly, one hand on the shovel, scarf huddled at his neck. You're irreplaceable. Because, for me and our friends, our memories exist because of you. Like a butterfly's wings stirring a tornado, you flapped into my life. Golden sunlight illuminated Kurapika's strands and eyelashes. His eyes curved with a lotus-like purity. In that moment, his pure and lovely smile, touching me as always, filled me with warmth. Even if the world is an illusion or reality twisted, this dream was not meaningless. Despite confusion, deep in the crisp world of glass and snow lies stillness and purity, like a lotus in ice. Chapter 74 - Since little Amber left her final message, we will definitely meet again. I've heard nothing more from her. She and all her mysteries vanished like a sudden rainstorm, arriving without warning, departing without a trace. Even Vera fell silent with little Amber's disappearance. No matter how I questioned her, she wouldn't respond, only occasionally popping in to say something like, the weather's really nice today, and then she'd vanish again. I rested at home for 2 days, mostly playing games in the living room, helping Kurapika cook, reading together, and basking in the sun whenever it appeared. Kurapika really loves reading, his room is stacked floor to ceiling with books. On the morning of the 5th day after I returned home, Illumi's private car pulled up to the villa. I was about to begin an assignment that had long been postponed. Though he hadn't met this friend before, Kurapika trusted Illumi, who once saved us. He waved goodbye to me through the window and left. A strong old woman came to escort me. She sat quietly behind the wheel, calm, respectful, yet carrying an undeniable air of dominance. Truly the servant of an assassin family. Not even her presence could be compared to an ordinary person's. "Are you Miss Amber?" she asked respectfully. "I am Matilda, servant of the Zoldyck family, here by Illumi-sama's order to take you to the Zoldyck mansion." "Hello," I replied awkwardly, feeling guilty under such formalities. I sat stiffly in the back seat. "I've often heard Illumi mention you. Miss Amber is a valued guest of his." With that, the car sped onto the highway. I rubbed my cold fingers and spoke nervously, "Please, call me Amber. I'm just a kid, it feels strange to be addressed so formally." "Of course," Matilda replied kindly. "Making our guest comfortable is part of my duty." After over 3 hours of driving, I realized Illumi's home wasn't far, across the border into the Republic of Batakia. "This is the Zoldyck homeland," Matilda explained. "Here stands the world-famous Sky Arena. Whether for training or prize money, it's ideal. You might want to try it." Sky Arena, I murmured. Yes, Matilda said. Illumi-sama's third son trains here. That's where we're heading, before going to Mount Kukurokoroku. Illumi-sama told me you'd understand. We'll also visit Killua on his behalf. Oh, I remember Illumi mentioning I might stop by. So this is it. It's in the same country, why didn't he come himself? He's been busy and hasn't seen Killua in a while, Matilda replied. We pulled into the Sky Arena's parking lot. I stepped out alongside Matilda, marveling at the towering structure. The Sky Arena is in Dentala, Batakia. It has 251 floors, 991 m tall, fourth tallest worldwide. It's a fighting arena drawing competitors globally. Inside, crowds thronged, contestants queued to register, and live arena commentary echoed. How amazing, I whispered. It's like the World Cup stage. Is Killua in their training? Yes, Matilda said, he was sent 2 years ago, he needs to clear the 200th floor before returning. 2 years? He's very talented, he'll finish soon. We skipped the crowds and took the elevator to the 190th floor. Matilda led me down familiar corridors and stopped before a door. Here we are, she said, then knocked politely, Master Killua, I'm here to see you. I stood nervously, imagining Illumi's brother. When the door opened, out stepped a white-haired boy, Killua, a boy around my age, aqua blue eyes widening in surprise. Matilda? Where's Wutong? Illumi-sama asked me to run an errand and to visit you en route, she replied. He smirked. Probably Big Brother sent you to watch me. Tell him I'll be back after the fight, and he needn't rush me. Illumi-sama worries about you daily. He wants me back in training, Killua answered, hair messy, face cold. He eyed me curiously. Who's this? She's Illumi's guest, Matilda answered. Killua looked stunned, outrage dawning as he spoke in disbelief. Brother invited someone home? He scanned me closely, even young, his eyes were unnervingly sharp but not hostile. Hello, I'm Amber, I introduced, extending my hand. Killua, he replied, pulling out his own hand and shaking mine. Master Killua, Matilda bowed. I'll be back in an hour. We alone remained. Killua rolled his eyes. Why push this on me? I'm busy, he said disdainfully, unwrapped a lollipop, popped it in, and turned away. Come on in, he called over his shoulder with a shrug, then disappeared inside. I clenched my jaw, resisting the urge to throttle him, masked my frustration with a forced smile, and followed. Inside, the room looked ordinary, like a hotel, a single bed, white sheets, small TV, standard bedside table. Hard to imagine Killua has lived here 2 years. He jumped onto the bed with gaming console in hand, gestured to a rattan chair, sit. I calmly unpacked and sat. Though Killua's attitude irked me, I owed Illumi, rudeness wasn't allowed. Still, the stark contrast between the brothers surprised me, different looks, different auras. Killua lacked Illumi's icy shadow. How old are you? He asked without looking up. 11. He's surprised. You look 7 or 8, so small. Smiling at him grumpily, I replied quietly. He shrugged and asked, what's your relation to Illumi? He's never brought home guests before. Just a friend. Is he planning to marry you? He blurted out, startling me. It's not what you think. He scoffed. That explains why brother brought you. You're 11, he's 20, 9 years difference, that's child marriage. He shook his head. It's not that. My family's killers, mom and brother are ruthless. If you want to be with Illumi, think twice. And, if I might, Illumi. Quiet. I slammed the table so hard it cracked. I said I'm not marrying him. I'm just here to help with his mission. Startled by my shout, he jumped back and flattened against the wall, then relaxed. Are you violent, miss? You deserve a smack, brat, I hissed through gritted teeth. But I'll only teach a lesson, on Illumi's behalf. He smirked, sat cross-legged, then pulled another lollipop from his pocket and tossed it to me. You're quite capable, I underestimated you, Killua said, rubbing his nose. Here, a candy, to make it fair. I didn't hesitate. I tore it open and popped it in. Killua watched curiously and asked, What's your relationship with my big brother? How do you two know each other? You should ask him yourself. Hey, stingy. I decided to ask instead, why is your hair different from your brother's? Killua glanced back. I got Dad's hair. All of my brothers have black hair except me. That's cool. I smiled. Illumi told me about you a while ago. He probably said I don't listen. He tries to control everything I do. Killua frowned. Then perked up, enough of that, can you play games? He secretly glanced at me, expectation in his eyes, immediately dropped when I noticed. I've played games before, though I'm not good. Really? You can play? He stared, incredulous. I'm not that special. Ignoring me, Killua rolled off the bed, pulled a cardboard box from under it, filled with game consoles, and motioned me over. Pick anything you've played before. Matilda won't be back for a while, play with me. How did I suddenly become his gaming partner? I squatted by the box and recognized 2 consoles I'd used before. Killua expertly hooked them to the TV and handed me a controller. I've never met anyone who could play with me before, he said. He might be 8 or 9? His dark assassin aura contrasted with pure blue eyes, nothing like Illumi's impenetrable mask. He wore all his emotions openly. We played a duel game. I tried hard to recall Kurapika's lessons, but lost 7 rounds straight. Killua grinned like a cat who just stolen cream, patted my shoulder, and teased, Don't be discouraged, you're just a beginner, not hopeless. I smiled and silently clenched my fists, determination burning. Soon Matilda returned. Killua quickly hid the consoles, switched the TV back to the Sky Arena broadcast, and pretended we'd been studying. Matilda knocked and entered. Amber, time to go. I nodded, popped the second lollipop Killua gave me, tossed the stick away, and prepared to say goodbye. Killua grabbed my arm. What mission are you here to help Big Brother with? I don't know yet, Illumi hasn't told me, I replied. Why? He sighed softly. Nothing. I just had fun playing. Can I see you again? He paused mid-sentence, swallowed his words, and changed the topic. I don't know. But if you want to play again, contact me anytime. I've got a kid at home your age, you two would get along. I added, but that kid's a bit serious, don't know if you'd like him. About my age? Killua looked curious. How old is he? 13. He scoffed. So he's 2 years older, and you think he's my age? Did your math teacher mix up sexes? Oh. In his eyes, I'm still a kid. I rubbed my head awkwardly, ready to change topic, but Matilda stepped in. Master Killua, if you want to see Iku-san again, you need to clear the 200th floor first. You can't leave the Sky Arena otherwise. Okay, I get it, Killua shrugged. Bye then, see you if we're meant to. Matilda led me out. Killua watched, turned at the door, and flashed a triumphant grin, like a cat pleased with itself. We got in the car and drove toward Illumi's house. My phone buzzed, Killua had texted. Actually, I have the ability to pass the last level, but I like it here. I don't want mortar lectures from brother and mom every day, so I'll stay. I glanced at Matilda in the rearview mirror, she kept driving calmly. I texted him hoping to sound nonchalant. Big brother seems to miss you. Come back after you've had enough fun. He replied. I don't want to, idiot, that guy doesn't miss me. He only plans how to train me. I refuse to be controlled. How long will you stay? Actually, even though I don't want to, I should go back soon. Dad'll doubt me otherwise. I've got a game next week, Tuesday. Want to watch? He added a chill emoticon. Next Tuesday. That's day after tomorrow, right? Sorry, probably not. Illumi's mission won't be done by then. I don't think I can make it. He replied with an angry emoji after a long pause. We drove onto a winding mountain road. Matilda said, "This is Mount Kukurokuroku. The Zoldyck mansion sits at the top. We're nearly there." I nodded and watched the scenery at the mountain's base. As we climbed, I spotted the sky arena in the distance. Soon, we arrived at our destination. The car stopped before a massive iron gate, layer upon layer so tall it felt like a fortification wall. Chapter 75-. If we want to enter the Zoldyck family's manor, which spans an unknown area, and reach the villa deep inside, we must push open a heavy iron door called the Gate of Trial. Matilda explained the tremendous weight of the doors. The first door weighed 2 tons, the second weighed twice that, and so on. I didn't fully grasp it, but I knew she held my hand and, with a single effort, pushed open all 3 doors. To set foot in the territory behind those high walls, we had to pass this trial. In the guard room, a portly older man greeted Matilda respectfully as she returned. We stepped into the courtyard, a vast forest. It's hard to believe that such an endless place is actually the Zoldyck family's yard. We followed a path in complete silence, only our footsteps on the dry earth echoed. After a long walk, we reached a low wall. A dark-skinned girl with large eyes stood there, clutching a round, pointed cane, silently waiting. As we approached, she bowed slightly in greeting. She neither spoke nor asked questions, but Matilda introduced us. "Canary, this lady is the guest invited by Master Illumi." "Understood." She nodded, turning to me. "Please follow me." Matilda bid me farewell, and Canary became my new guide, expressionless, neither curious nor suspicious of my presence. The quiet dirt path curved between dark woods. Gnarled black branches stretched like demon claws, trying to drag every passerby into an abyss. The leaves withered, but the skeletal branches still fragmented the sky above. After what felt like ages, we arrived at a magnificent mansion, castle-like. Canary knocked firmly on the door. My stomach churned. The solemn, silent mansion radiated a chill. My fingers turned cold as I thought of the killers living behind that door. The tension made it hard to breathe. With a slow, prolonged creak, the heavy door swung open. A middle-aged man in a black suit appeared, stern and ferocious behind thin, square glasses. He gazed down at me. "Mr. Everett, this is the person brought by Matilda," said Canary. That formal introduction again. "I understand." The man adjusted his glasses, then turned to me. "Miss Amber, right? Please follow me." Saying that, Canary stepped aside and returned to the villa interior. Everett didn't wait for me, instead walking ahead briskly. I hurried to catch up. The villa's walls were clad in gray-blue marble. Instead of opening into a hall, the entrance led into a long, dim corridor. Everett walked quickly, I jogged to keep pace. I'd been looking down at my feet when suddenly someone leapt out at me. I collided head-on with them. I heard a low groan and staggered before regaining my balance. "Master Maluki?" Everett called. "Everett? Why are you here? It hurt. What hit you just now?" I propped my head, glancing at a chubby boy frowning up at me with slanted eyes. He looked displeased. "Let me introduce you, Master Maluki, this is Miss Amber, Master Illumi's guest." "Guest?" The boy's tone was skeptical. "Brother invited guests. Are you sure?" "Everett, I don't believe her. I'm going to tell Dad." He spun to run off, but Everett grabbed him. "Master Maluki, Miss Amber was brought by Teacher Matilda. She's important to Master, so there's no need to worry. Matilda? Even Dad? Maluki looked more shocked. Yes. Everett adjusted his glasses. Master is waiting inside. Please, let us proceed. I listened, feeling dazed. Everett's tone toward me softened. He signaled for me to follow him. I blinked, then hurried after him, and, passing Maluki, I gave a polite nod. He didn't block our way. Watching from afar, he remained where we left him. Proceeding further, we walked through many rooms and doors, winding until we reached a spacious hall. There, by the window, stood a familiar figure. He turned from the view outside, slowly blinked his black eyes at me, and lifted a hand. I hadn't seen him in half a year. Illumi's hair had grown, now brushing his shoulders. Hi, Amber, long time no see. His expression was emotionless, but his voice felt as intimate as ever. Relief flooded me, dispelling the gloom from my arrival. I ran forward, tail wagging as I greeted him. Long time no see, Illumi. He nodded, placing a hand on my shoulder. Everett understood the cue, bowed, and stepped back. Illumi led me to another room. The man earlier is our housekeeper, Everett, he said. By the way, haven't you eaten yet? Mom and Dad are waiting for us in the dining room. It's lunchtime, shall we go? Though phrased as a question, I knew it wasn't optional. I nodded as we headed toward the restaurant. How was the Hunter exam? He asked. It was okay, still pretty difficult. But you passed. Congratulations. He paused. Have you met Killua? I saw him. He's a very cute kid. At my reply, Illumi hardly reacted, but I could have sworn his grip on my shoulder tightened. He fell silent, and I feared I'd said something wrong. I gently called, Illumi? He responded, distracted, a daze in his eyes. What's wrong? I asked, and he reached up to brush my hair. Nothing. I just wanted to call you. Time flew by. I smiled. Yeah, time does fly. He echoed, eyes distant. I glanced up, and suddenly, Illumi stopped, pushed me against the wall, gripping my arm painfully tight. I gasped, trying to pull away, but he pressed a hand over my mouth, signaling silence. My heart pounded. Hush, he mouthed. After a moment, he relaxed his grip and quietly removed his hand from my mouth. Yet his expression remained impassive as he spoke in a whisper, listen carefully. Mom and Dad already know about your God's listening ability. When we go in later, do exactly as I ask. If I tell you to leave, you must not use that ability. What? I was confused. He said no more, guiding me around the corner and into the restaurant.